All right, Justin, A through Z.
J.
I think that is literally the same fucking letter that Heather picked last week. Why the fuck do you guys pick the most useless letters in our fucking alphabet? The one that in just never are we going to have anything.
That we'll go with.
No. Except for today. That I've kind of got something. No, I've got something for Jay.
I can't see my legs, but I did it.
I've got something for Jay. It's fine. Ish. It's ish. It's J-ish. There was the trailer for Beetlejuice 2 dropped today, or a teaser did. I've never thought anything was more unnecessary in my life until I saw that. And then I saw the Beverly Hills Cop 4 trailer. And then I went, oh, never mind. There is something more unnecessary in my life than Beetlejuice 2. So.
I also don't like that the name of the new Beetlejuice movie is Beetlejuice. Like, I get what they're doing, but just try to think about when you're talking about that movie, you know? Like, did you go see Beetlejuice?
No, just say you went to see BJ Squared.
Better. Definitely better.
And that's why I said it's only kind of J, because technically the name Beetlejuice in the film is spelled with a G. Yeah, it's not actually spelled Beetlejuice. It's all a weird spelling. But yeah, so those are things that happened today. In other news, Disney and Warner Brothers announced a partnership for this summer. This is a few weeks old. I just kept forgetting to bring it up. So starting this summer at some point, you'll be able to order Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max all on one subscription. So that's a thing that's apparently happening at some point. At another point, Paramount is trying to sell off, or I should say CBS is trying to sell off Paramount and Paramount Media. And I want to say it was Skydance. It's some company was going to buy them. And then Sony swooped in at the last minute. It's like, hold up. We'll pay you more money. And I think Sony's doing that because Sony's the only major studio that does not have a streaming service. So they might want it just for that. It gives them that built-in platform with Paramount Plus to just do that. But CBS would still be a thing. And so they'd still have the, football and sports and all that stuff. Kind of like what Fox did. So when 20th Century Fox sold themselves to Disney, it was just 20th Century Fox. That's why Fox Sports was still a thing. Fox News was still a thing. All of those other things are still a thing because they did not sell that to Disney. They just sold the production arm, like the media arm, and not the news and sports. I think CBS is looking to do the same thing with Paramount. So we'll see what that changes, So that's something to keep an eye out for. So that's a thing. I guess one more thing real quick before we get into the audio or into the episode, I should say. Not the audio. This is all audio too. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Real quick, just on a personal note and all that other stuff, I just want to take a small little bit here to bring up the fact that as of when we are recording this, yesterday, I had to put one of my cats down. It's actually, she was the first cat I got in Illinois when I moved up here, which is a slight like non-truth. It's just we got her and Lilith at the same time. It was my cat Abizu. It's the white one that's been on the podcast. She's made some appearances. We got her and Lilith technically at the same time, but we were only supposed to get her. Lilith was actually the surprise cat in the scenario that we got. But a few months back, and I don't remember if I had mentioned this or not, but we found out that Abizu had a very aggressive form of mammary gland cancer, or tumors, I should say, which is essentially like a cat version of breast cancer. And we were going to take her in for surgery to get her mammary glands removed on one side, but that's when they had found it had moved to the other side too. And at that point, it would have been, 2 massive surgeries over the span of 3 months and like a total of 5 months of recovery and all that other stuff. And it would have only probably given her 6 months to live anyway. So she would have had, 5 of her 6 months in just recovery from surgeries and stuff. We didn't necessarily want to do that, and the vet didn't want to do that either. But, recently I had to move and stuff like that. And, she just started kind of getting bad during that point, and her cancer had gotten very aggressive. And so ultimately we had to make the decision of putting her down, which was, really, really hard on me. If anybody knows anything about my cats, it was just a very hard thing to do. And, I just want to kind of take a moment real quick to kind of just dedicate me being on this episode today to my little girl Abizu, that, I'm going to miss her, and, it's going to suck without her, because she was my little Tweety Bird princess that had a broken little meower. And, really just kind of sucks, but hopefully, it'll suck a little less at some point.
I love that. I love that the 300th gets to be dedicated to her. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that, Sterling.
Yeah, that was a rough day yesterday. Especially for me, because I don't get emotional about much, except for my cats. Like, that's one of the few things that brings that out in me a lot. And yeah, that's pretty bad. But me and my ex Amy, I took her down to the vet down that she had been going, that we had, diagnosed her and stuff. So we both got to be there for her. And I mean, it was the right call. She was not doing good health-wise. She had lost a lot of weight. She had lost about 1 pound in 3 weeks, which I know doesn't sound like a lot. It is if you're only 7 pounds, though, when you start that. That's a big chunk of your weight in 3 weeks. She just lost all interest in eating, and the tumors had grown, and, so it was one of those, necessary times to do something unfortunate like that. But, I made my other cats promise that they're going to live for at least another 57 years. So, but yep, that's my own little thing with that. But other than that, I think it's time to start our very special after school episode, the 300th episode of Cinema Slayers.
Somebody will listen to me.
Nobody knows anything but you.
All right. Are you ready?
Yep.
Come on.
Cinema Slayers.
Slayers. 'Cause, 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 'c Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. I'm Sterling, and as always, I'm joined by Heather and Justin. And tonight we're going to talk about what we liked, didn't like, and everything in between with the Cinema Slayers podcast. As we've stated, and as you can see in the title of this episode, this is our big 300th episode. We've been doing this shit for, damn near 6 years now. 6 years, 300 episodes. Been doing videos for the last 100 of them. Yeah, so we just kind of thought we would, like we did our 200th episode was a big Moon Knight episode. I think it was our 100th episode. We did kind of a little thing. So yeah, this is episode 300. We're going to kind of, we're going to talk about things we've really liked, movies we might have hated. We got some questions from you guys. We're even probably going to, at least me, I don't know about these two. I'm going to change my answers to the game because one of my answers at the time was very apt. And now I'm like, that is the worst answer I could have ever had in my life. So I'm at least going to change one of my answers to one of my things. But then other than that, like I said, the majority of this, we're just going to kind of look back on Cinema Slayers past. Little things like that. I know when we talk about favorite episodes, I have one that just stands out every time I think about it. Probably going to have to talk about that a little bit. And then, we'll just kind of keep going. And like I said, we got questions from you guys based around the number 3, because 300, all that stuff, 3 of us, 300 episodes. I don't know. There's lots of 3s with this podcast, so we're just going to keep going with that. So I guess to start us off real quick, like I said, I'm going to have to change my answer on the game. I know when I talked about my 3 favorite TV shows, I know I probably said The Wire, I probably said X-Files, and I know that then I said Sabrina. And I was stupid because that was one season of Sabrina. I was just distracted. I got bamboozled by the newness of it all and how that was like super great. And, it instantly falls off and is just one of the worst fucking things I've ever watched after that. So I can't in good conscience keep Sabrina on my list of 3. I'm probably going to go the more traditional route and something I probably should have said at that time. I'm just going to say I probably should have thought about this a little more. I just know it's not Sabrina. You know what? I'm going to say Star Trek Next Generation. That's a safe answer. I don't like giving a safe answer, but honestly, it's me. Star Trek's a big influence on my life, especially the Next Generation, because that was the Star Trek TV show I grew up with. Even though the movies I grew up with were the original series movies, because there was that overlap they had where Next Generation was the TV show on, but the movies were all the original cast. So they did that for a little bit. But yeah, I'm just going to have to say Star Trek Next Generation. Just to, to just be, more realistic about it. That's a show I can go and watch anytime, every time. And it's good. Not always good. There's some bad, don't get me wrong. There are some bad episodes in there. But also then there's also those quintessential, just, this is what is amazing about the art form that is television episodes in there too. So I at least want to change that as far as my game answers. I don't remember a single other answer I gave. I can't tell you what I said were my 3 movies, my 3 guilty pleasures. I don't remember any of that. I know my sandwich, that was the Cuban, because that's still the same. I don't remember any of my other answers. I just remembered ever since then, I've regretted that I had said Sabrina. So I wanted to fix that 200 episodes later.
That's fair. I'm kind of in the same boat because I feel like I don't remember my top 3 movies I put, but I feel like at this point, I'll have to go back and look. I should have done that before this, but I would probably replace one of them now with Knives Out because I just think that's a perfect movie. So that would probably go on my list of favorite movies now. So that would replace one of my other answers. I feel like I know I put Prisoners and I think I put Green Mile. And it would probably replace Green Mile if I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Just because I don't know. That's hard to say. I just can't remember what my 3 were. I just know Prisoners is definitely one of them. And that's going to stay because I love that movie. But
I like how quickly you backtracked. I'd probably replace Green Mile. Well, maybe not, but maybe. But maybe, but not.
Because part of me, I think the reason it's hard to completely say I'd kick that one out is because that's the movie that made me love movies. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I kind of, for that reason, probably should keep it. After I thought about it, I was like, no, it's a very important film to me and my loving of movies. You know what I mean? So that would stay. And I don't know, whatever the 3rd movie is, I guess would be whatever I replace with Knives Out, because I just think that movie deserves to be in my top 3 films for sure. If there's ever somebody looking for, just a great movie to watch, I will always recommend that movie. And then I would agree too, with my television show choices. Like, I feel like I said Parks and Rec, Friends, and Psych, I think is what I said. I'm going to replace Parks and Rec with Ted Lasso because I love Parks and Rec, but Ted Lasso is like one of those shows where every episode is dropping like this wisdom and this knowledge and this like hopefulness and encouragement. But I don't know. I feel like that show just makes you a better person by watching it. So I would replace that. So I'm glad that you mentioned redoing the list because yes, Ted Lasso's up there for sure.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things to do when you're answering the list questions is you have to pick a show that's over. You don't want to get bamboozled like I was by Sabrina. You don't want to like a near perfect first season just for them to go, hey, here's nothing but utter dog shit for every other episode that's ever going to exist of this thing. So yeah, it's smart. Ted Lasso, that is a great answer though. Ted Lasso is an amazing show. It's done. So even if they do a spinoff and that's shitty, you've still got the core Ted Lasso that's great. So you don't have to worry about them ruining it with like a bad next season or whatever, or a bad finale. Like, what the finale is. How it ends. Therefore, you can give a more, educated answer than I did. I made a rookie mistake, guys. We'd only been podcasting for like 100 episodes. And, it was some devil shit. And I'm just kind of partial to some devil shit. And, I got distracted by all the lights and whatnots and devil pictures. It fucked me up, guys. I made a mistake.
But I also feel like, I think you had mentioned this either in that one or maybe one later. Whoever created it, I remember you saying they're very good at starting shows but not finishing them. And so you probably were bamboozled by that as well.
It's not even just shows. He's done it with comic books. He did the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comic books, which is super amazing comics. They start like there's like 7 issues of it. It's got this really nice, dark watercolor painting artwork. It's super fucking cool. It's super fucking unique. Oh yeah, but like I said, it's like 7 fucking issues because he stopped writing that shit because he's a piece of shit. But this is also the same motherfucker that fucked up Riverdale. Riverdale is an amazing first season. Amazing first season. And then he went, hey, how much nonsense and bullshit can I throw in for like 8 more seasons? Let's just fucking do that. Let's just have nonstop bullshit for years.
That's the most off the rail shows that's ever existed. Yeah. In the first season, even the second season, I was fine with for the most part. But after that, I mean, again, I will forever just talk about how I love to watch the train wreck that show was, because they just did the craziest things. Like, and I think I've mentioned it on here before, like a teenage girl like owns a speakeasy club in the bottom of a soda shop. And, you know, Archie owns a gym that he just lets people stay at for free. And I'm like, what are your lives and how are these things possible? And, you know, Jughead in a gang and just things where you're like, none of this is realistic in any sort of way. It's insane.
Justin, have you watched an episode of Riverdale?
No, unfortunately I haven't. So yeah, it's too bad I can't be in on this conversation. Like, I always knew of the show, saw advertisements for it, was kind of curious about it, but I just think at the time, no, there was nobody in my friendship circle watching it, or, you know, I just never had that push. Sometimes I need a push to start watching a television show. Like, I need somebody that I really trust to say, like, I feel like watching a TV show is a big commitment. Like, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of investment. So I'm typically not one, and especially, you know, me with the time availability I have, I'm typically not one to just be like, oh, let me just watch this 6-season show or something like that. You know, I like to know that it's going to be good if I'm going to invest that kind of time. Because when you add all those hours up, that shit adds up. So with that show in particular, I just never got that, even though I knew about it. It was just one of those shows I knew about. I knew it was out there. I knew it existed. I knew it kind of had some momentum, but I just never had that push to commit. You know what I mean? You know, not kind of telling on myself, but yeah.
See, Justin, in response to all that, I just wanted to say to you that Heather is a dirty liar, and the second season is garbage too. Don't fucking listen to that. If you ever sit down and you want to watch Riverdale, you watch it like it's a fucking like 10 or 13 episode miniseries, whatever the first season is. You watch it and then you forget anything else exists from that show.
Okay.
Because the second season is not the same show. I will argue that to anybody. It is not the same show. It's like this murder mystery, whodunit, like self-contained thing in the first season. In the second season, they go, hey guys, want to see some bullshit? So I just warn you, that's what that is.
But maybe its first season is like godly. You know how some of those shows have just like the ultimate first season? Like it's just damn near perfect. And dude, you're like, oh man.
That is Riverdale and Sabrina. It really is. Those first seasons are super fucking fantastic. And every subsequent episode sucks. It is fucking terrible how bad those shows get. And to me, it's almost instantaneous. Like when the second seasons start, they went, hey, you know, all that good shit we were doing, we're never going to do any of it ever again.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate when a show does that.
And the last 2 seasons are like a fever dream for Riverdale. It's insane.
Yikes. Well, I'm sorry. You guys had to go through that.
Oh, I stopped.
I guess it is. Oh, you stopped? He said, I quit.
I just wanted to just see what other insane things they were going to do with the storyline. I watched the entire thing because I was like, but literally every episode I'm like, what is going on? But I had to see what they did and how they ended that. And like spoiler alerts for anybody who actually watched Riverdale, or I guess spoilers for people who haven't watched Riverdale. Like last season, it fast forwards like, I don't know, 50 years or something. And it's a whole thing where apparently Archie, Jughead, Veronica, and Betty are all in a relationship together. And that's just a thing that is like, they just felt the need to make that what their relationship was like 50 years later. It was just the oddest way to incorporate that into the show, but also just, it just didn't line up with anything else they really did with some of the characters. So it was just a very odd thing to do and just not what I expected a show to end with. So yeah.
And I don't know, maybe this is a conversation for a different time, but maybe there are just some shows, some ideas that really just only have one good season in them. Like, because of what it is, because of the identity of it, because of how it conducts itself. Maybe some shows are just better when they're new and fresh, but when it comes to longevity, they just don't have it. Like, I don't know if you ever saw this show called Nip Tuck. Did you ever see that? Did any of you ever see that?
I watched some of it.
Like the first two episodes, maybe.
Like, to me, that's a show where I feel like it had one good season in it. Like, understanding like who the surgeons are, the doctors are. At first, it was kind of like this very charismatic, you know, kind of a real, like, the show definitely had a charisma to it, a sexiness to it. Like, the perspective of these two surgeons and everything like that and their relationship, and then with their girlfriends / wives and all that kind of stuff. You know, it was a good first season, pretty compelling first season, but it was one of those shows that just could not, over a long period of time, the same gimmicks, the same kind of things happening. How back and forth can we go with these two characters? Et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's just, it just had no legs beyond when it's new and it's fresh and it's interesting. And then beyond that, it just doesn't have the legs. And I think a lot of shows are like that. They can't go beyond one season.
Isn't Nip Tuck Brian Murphy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same problem that Glee ends up having. It's the same problem that the American Horror Stories end up having. It's just a very big problem he has, especially in his more adult-oriented stuff. In his stuff like American Horror Story or Nip Tuck, where it's like, oh man, this is sexy. It's intrigue, it's mystery, it's this, it's that. And then what ends up happening? Just nonstop bullshit. Like every episode ends up having to like end on some sort of crazy, sexy, weird, horrific cliffhanger to go into the next one. And then so you're like, yeah, you're like, it's very interesting at first, and then you just end up numb to it. Every twist, every new thing is just a version of some bullshit you saw 3 episodes ago. And it's cliffhangers for the sake of cliffhangers. And it's just like I said, you get numb to it. Like
that is so true. Numb is just the perfect word. And then like characters will start doing things that you know this character wouldn't do. And it doesn't feel earned, like, oh, they're acting out of character because of this situation they're in, or they're desperate, or whatever the case may be. They're just acting out of character because the script needs them to do something different for this to feel different. But really, it's like Sterling said, it's kind of regurgitated bullshit. So yeah, I totally get some of that. And it does happen. And like, and the thing about me is that I'm this person that I will continue to watch because I just have this thing with closure. Like, I have to finish the story. I have to know what happened. Like, and so, and maybe that's another reason why I'm afraid to commit to some shows, because I am that son of a bitch that would just keep watching it. And I know it's not going to get any better. I already know. I'm not dumb.
I watched 10 seasons of fucking Smallville. I watched 15 seasons of fucking Supernatural. You're preaching to the motherfucking choir right now, Justin. That's why I made a point to bring up. I tapped the fuck out with Sabrina and Riverdale. That's how much bullshit it goes. If I can go 10 seasons in fucking Smallville and I can't finish your fucking show, you done fucked up bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. And it's so funny because you think, and it's funny because the feeling of closure that you completed it all is never, it never makes you feel better when the show is shitty. Never. Like you think, oh, at least I'll have that sense of completion. And it never is better than the feeling that than you feeling like a fool that you watched it all. But I just keep doing it to myself, man.
I'll at least give Supernatural credit. While the last 10 seasons of it aren't great, which is saying a lot because that's 2/3 of that entire show are not good. There's interesting moments. There's some interesting storylines, and there's some interesting episodes in those 10 seasons. You know, the first 5 are fantastic. I'll put the first 5 seasons of Supernatural up against a lot of shows. Because that was Eric Kripke, you know, the same guy that is doing The Fucking Boys. He knows how to write fucking shows. He knows how to craft fucking shows. He's fantastic at it. But he also has the mindset of a show doesn't need to go past 5 seasons. So he wrote a 5-season story arc that's fantastic and is just damn near perfect for a CW show, especially. It's elevated as fuck for a CW show. And then the CW went, but we're making so much money. We have to come back. And Eric Kripke's like, what are you talking about? I'm done. We're done. There's nothing else to tell. We're done with the story. And they went, but money? And so everyone else came back. And to Eric Kripke's credit, he was like, no. He's like, I'm done. I had 5 seasons. That's why I told you guys from the beginning, 5 seasons were done. And they made an extra 10. But like I said, there's at least some interesting concepts in there. Justin, I know you know this. What were the last 3 seasons of Smallville? Just torturous.
Yeah.
It was 66 episodes of garbage.
Yep. And just butchering comics that were way better when you read them and just trying to have the storylines and be like, isn't this cool? Aren't we doing some of the things you like? And it was just shitty. Just, oh my God. Why?
You remember when Doomsday was a werewolf?
Stop it, please. Can we please, just stop it.
Do you remember when Darkseid was a black smoke ghost? You remember that? Wasn't it fantastic?
I hate you. Man, we could just talk about all the Smallville. Man, there was so many like terrible Smallville villains. Remember that guy, that black guy that just shook?
Yeah. Yeah, Justin. Of course I remember that guy. Of course. He just shook a lot. It was fantastic because he had kryptonite blood so he could shake Clark. Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, he shook Clark. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God.
Who the fuck played that guy?
Please, I got to talk about something because I just don't want to reminisce on the bad Smallville. But when it was good, it was good. Man, when Lex Luthor, what was his name? Michael Rosenbaum? Man. God, Lex had some moments.
That motherfucker.
I need to go on YouTube and see if there's just a Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor greatest moments or something. I'm sure someone's done a compilation and I would enjoy that. I'm surprised I haven't looked at that. But speaking of YouTube and looking up extra content, when it comes to my stuff in this game, it's interesting because like I'll start with the television shows. Like I can't 100% remember what I said back then, But I was thinking about something and reflecting on some of this stuff. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes actions speak louder than words. So I may have said these are my favorite shows, but then I started thinking, well, what have my actions portrayed lately? Like, what shows have I actually gone back and rewatched and revisited and still can say I've enjoyed them the same? So I think for that, and I think that's a very special list for me, because for me to go back and invest time into something I've already seen, especially if it's a television show, I must really enjoy it, right? Like, I must like it beyond even what I sometimes say. So the shows, interestingly enough, that I've been rewatching lately, or the ones that I did rewatch lately, Sopranos is definitely number one. I mean, I have rewatched that since our last time talking, and I'm pretty sure Sopranos was on my list, but since that 200th episode or whatever, I've probably seen that whole show 2 more times. So I've watched it 2 times over. So I think it's over. I think Sopranos is probably my favorite show. That is probably just my all-time favorite show. And like, you missed this, Heather, because you weren't on Anatomy of the Fall. But when Sterling and I were talking about things that were like, we were talking about how you don't 100% know anything. And we were talking about how we don't 100% know why we have certain obsessions. And I have an obsession with mob stuff. So I think that part of it is that I'll rewatch The Godfather. I'll rewatch a lot of that mob shit. When I was in Vegas, I went to the mob museum. I don't know. I must have some sort of a problem. I don't know. Do I just want to be in organized crime or something? I don't know.
Do you just like crime?
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just crime in general, because I like all the forensic stuff. I like all the, the Law and Order stuff. I watch all that investigation stuff. Maybe it's just crime in general. It's just, I'm like a moth to the flame with that shit. I guess so. But yeah, so Sopranos has definitely got to be up there. Something that I continue to rewatch is The Office. Like, I can just have it on and watch it. I can just watch it like anytime. And the interesting thing is that there are episodes that haven't really aged well. Like, there's some homophobia. There's some stuff with relationships that's kind of toxic. There's some characters that, I look back at them now and I'm like, huh?
I've grown out of that show.
Really?
I haven't watched that show in so long. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I look back on it now and I don't like Jim and Pam. Like, I don't like the relationship. Jim is a fucking bully. He's horrible to fucking Dwight, who's legitimately just trying to do his job and is trying to like be a man. Like, he's trying to be an assistant to the regional manager and get everybody else to do their job. That's his main focus, is just to do his job. And all Jim does is fuck with that man trying to make money. That's it.
Like, when you, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was actually going to say that, though, like, when I watch it now, because I did rewatch it recently and I got through it, but some of the stuff didn't hit the same, though. Like, it didn't. And it's funny how a show, how as your perspective changes, your thoughts about a show can change. Like, you're just like, man, this doesn't hit the same way. I still like Jim and Pam, but yeah, Jim is totally a bully. Like, I do see that now when it comes to Dwight and everything like that. Like, Dwight is eccentric and sometimes weird and can be overbearing and stuff like that. But but you're right. He genuinely is just trying to do his job. And Jim just is kind of like, I don't like the way he is, so I'm gonna bully him. You know, I mean, it is pretty much bullying. And Pam is kind of right there, kind of enabling and helps in tag teams sometimes.
No, I'll say
so sometimes it is straight up like that. So I get that.
I will say later in the show, that friendship that Dwight and Pam have is nice. And even the friendship that Jim and Dwight develop is nice, because then it feels like, yeah, they're doing a joke at Dwight's expense, but it doesn't come from as mean of a place. Like in one of the later episodes when Jim is trying to trick Dwight into being his assistant. Like, as you know, Jim is Dwight's assistant and he's trying to get Dwight to be his assistant. Like, that's funny because that's not malicious. And he's able to do that because of how well he's learned, like how well he's gotten to actually know Dwight, you know? And so that's fine. It's just early on though, when Dwight's just trying to do his job and Jim's like, oh yeah, let me fuck with you. I'm like, motherfucker, like, yeah, we know that Dwight's got a beat farm. He's got all this stuff. So like financially speaking, he's okay. But like theoretically speaking, what if Jim fucked with him so much and fucked up a sale? And then like Dwight can't pay his mortgage or some shit. Like he's fucking with that guy's like livelihood on a constant basis just because he thinks he's weird.
Yeah.
Jim's a fucking totally 1980s high school movie villain.
Yep.
Yeah, that totally does happen early on. And I think that's the interesting thing about watching the show is that early on, there are a lot of unlikable characters. Michael Scott, to me, is super unlikable when the show starts.
In the first season, yes, because he's trying to do a Ricky Gervais impression. Mm-hmm. And it does not translate well.
No, not at all.
The Michael Scott that is just the lovable loser boss translates way better than the, asshole boss that he was in the first season.
Yeah. And right around the time they made that transition to exactly what you said, the lovable loser boss, that's when he really becomes compelling. And then I do think they did the same thing with Jim. He was just kind of a straight up bully, but then they started to kind of do this thing where, yeah, like him and Dwight do have sort of this friendship. And then there are situations that they're put in where they have to team up, or because Jim knows him so well, he can help him, or Jim realizes that how much time he wastes planning these pranks on Dwight when he could be doing something else, like they start to do other things to make those characters not as awful like that. But yeah, like initially there are a lot of unlikable characters on that show. You can tell that they were like, okay, we got to change the way we're doing some of this shit. And thankfully they did. It probably wouldn't have lasted as long as it did if they hadn't made those character changes, Yeah, and I still think, though, I still am on the side now, especially, that I hate Jim and Pam. I still hate their relationship together because that is just an unhealthy level of toxicity of the constant, oh, hey, let's make decisions about each other's lives and our marriage and our family, and let's not consult the other person at all. Like, I get the idea is supposed to be that I know them so well that I know the reaction, but also still talk, like, what does everybody say? Communication's the key and the foundation to a healthy relationship. What's not the key to doing that? I don't know, buying a house in another fucking state, or like buying into a company without the, you know what I mean? All the fucking bullshit that is them through the like
their stuff. Like, it just ends up being a horrible benchmark for relationships. And then also the writing of the show gets so bad at that point, though, too. That whole is Pam cheating but not cheating fucking part in the last season. God, that was the biggest waste of fucking time in a fucking show ever. There was no point to that storyline. It doesn't pay off in the show. It doesn't pay out outside of the show. It was just a waste of fucking time to add drama to a situation that already had drama. You know, like the fact that he's telecommuting and they're not around each other. Like, she's got the weight of everything on her and all this other stuff. That's all the drama you needed. You didn't need this guy being in love with her and is it this or is it that? You didn't need that shit.
Was this during that writer's strike that happened? Is that when that season came out? I'm wondering if that might be why the writing was so weird.
I have no idea.
Possibly. But really after they lose Michael, it falls off pretty big when Michael goes away. And then who they brought in to replace, like Robert California and, you know, Andy sort of took a bigger role. And I don't know if Andy was a character. Andy was better when he was like third or fourth tier character. But when they tried to move him up to like first, second tier character, I don't think that really works. So yeah, it definitely loses quality towards the end, you know, which is why it probably is not going to make one of the greatest shows of all time list. Like if you really narrow it down to like a top 10, I don't know if it's in there. Maybe for some people, it might be iconic enough for some people to make it in there. But still, it's just a show that I find myself rewatching. But I think also it's just because it's quick. It's good to be on in the background. It's an easy, quick 20 minutes and it's over. You know, there are some advantages to that, you know, when it's not an hour long and stuff like that. So maybe it's also just comfort sometimes and convenience also. But the last show I wanted to talk about that I have rewatched is Breaking Bad. So I still really think that is one of my favorite shows. I still think that Breaking Bad is up there. Though I will say this, I won't talk much about Breaking Bad because I mean, it's just awesome. But I will say this: Better Call Saul might be almost as good as Breaking Bad. It rivals Breaking Bad. Like Better Call Saul is that good, you know.
I feel like Heather because I've only seen 2 episodes of Breaking Bad. I've never been able to make it past the 2nd episode.
You should have. You should have, man. It gets better, dude. It gets better. They got a world build, Sterling, but once they do
I get it. It
gets way better.
When I first tried watching The Wire back in the day, I almost had the same problem. Because the first 4 seasons of The Wire, it's still you don't really have it figured out yet. But once it gets its hooks in you, like I've said, I think that The Wire is the greatest show ever made. And Breaking Bad very much could be like that. And it'll take me probably like 10 or 15 tries to get past it. Because I'll start it and I'll get to the 2nd episode and then I'll just never move to the 3rd. And I'll do that about 10 or 15 times. And then eventually I'll just watch the 3rd episode. And then I'll probably be fine. But it's just this weird thing I do sometimes with these shows that if I'm just not in the mood to watch it, and you have no way of knowing if it's a show you've never watched. You don't know if you're in the mood yet until you start it and you're like, I'm not there yet. So I've just never been able to cross that threshold. I think I own it though. I think I own the entire series of Breaking Bad because I'm like, I'm going to watch it one of these days. I will do it. I've just never actually watched it.
Fair. And man, with movies, and this, I'll just talk about that for a second, but like, man, I think that that's just constantly changing. I don't even remember what my answers are. I don't even remember what I said back then, but I know that for the longest time, I used to say that one of my favorites was Million Dollar Baby. And now I don't know. Like it's still a really good movie, but Clint Eastwood just doesn't hit me the same. Like, you know, since I found out a little bit more about like,
is it the day he yelled at a chair for like 15 minutes?
You're just that like, just wasn't it.
Okay.
Yeah, that just wasn't it. And then some of his later movies, like what was that movie called? It was one about drug trafficking, The Mule. I didn't like that movie. Thought it was a bit, I mean, it's not terrible, but I felt like it was a bit racist. Like just kind of stereotypical. Like it didn't
like
feel
the 5th Rambo movie.
Gotta like that. Like, yeah, I just didn't kind of like the messages that it's saying. And even though he's kind of got this redemptive thing going in it, it's just, I feel like sometimes he treads that line too much of, I'm going to use all of these racial stereotypes and things that really I know nothing about because I'm white, but then I'll use them. But because I have redemptive storyline and say something positive at the end that forgives it. And I don't know, I'm kind of sick of white people doing that shit.
So you're also mad at the entire movie of what Gran Turismo or whatever the fuck that movie is called?
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
That whole movie was
about
just
that
an
on White
excuse.
Savior.
Well, that whole movie is just an excuse for him to like be a racist for the first hour and 15 minutes. Just so he can not be a racist for the last 20 minutes. It's like, see, story arc.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick of that arc. And I feel like people use it to get away with it. Like even the fact that you think that you can be racist, hella racist like that, and then just do some redemptive shit and everything's okay, it's kind of problematic. Like, I feel like it's a little problematic. Now, that's not to say that somebody can't be racist and change and be more accepting. I don't want to say that. But I feel like if you keep going back to that well, it starts to blur the lines. Okay, what is true? Why does this entertain you so much?
Yeah.
Why
are so many of your
this
themes
story in it?
racism?
Why is this so interesting to you?
Yeah. Well, because so many of Clint Eastwood's movies, his themes are me being racist. Like that is the theme of his movie is, hey, look at this racist character I'm going to portray, you know? But the thing is it's like him making the movie. So it's like a little weird. But I'm the same way though. I get it. Cause, I kind of feel the same way about Quentin Tarantino. I feel like just so many of his movies are just an excuse for him to write the N-word into the movie. And then also the excuse to write him as the character that says the N-word in the movies. And I'm like, it just happened. Like, you know, for all I know, he's not racist, but you know, it's happened a little too many times and it's a little weird.
Yeah. And it just makes you start to question, why does he like saying it so much? You know, why does it have to be in here? And then you think about his obsession with toes and how them toes got to be in there. You know what I'm saying? Them toes got to be in that bitch. So then you're wondering, okay, well, why does he have to say this all the time? And they feel like, okay, well, you know, it starts to feel like something else, you know?
Yeah. Cause it's that, you know, it's that whole thing of, well, I'm saying it as a social commentary. It's like, yeah, I get that maybe for one movie, but like, why is it 7 of your 10 movies that? Like that's not a social commentary at that point. I think you're just trying to give yourself a socially quote unquote acceptable way to constantly say this word that people say you shouldn't say. Yeah. But also, maybe he just has a fetish for it, like feet. He also gets off on just being able to say the N-word in front of other people. But he knows that if he did that in real life, he'd get beat up. So he's like, no.
He'd get murked.
It's in a movie, though. I'm playing a racist character in a movie that I wrote and directed. And then went, man, I guess I'm going to have to be the racist character again.
Yeah, it just start you just look back on some of this stuff and you start to look at it now, you're like, okay. And then when a person is just continuously doing a similar thing, and you know, in the defense of $1 Million Baby, it wasn't really about that. You know, it was this female boxer, and it's a really good story. Like, it's a really good movie, but you know, so it's not like, oh, I can point to that movie and say it has this content in it, but still, sometimes your opinion of a director or your opinion of an actor or something like that, you just can't go back and appreciate everything the same. Like, I really like Unforgiven. Like, Unforgiven is another Clint Eastwood movie, and that's a really good freaking Western, but like, it's just Clint doesn't rub me the same way he used to, you know?
Oh, I get it. I mean, there were tons of movies I used to love that would be all-time favorites. And, you know, then you find out the history of them or the history of the director and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yep, never watching that again. Like so many Woody Allen movies, so many Alfred Hitchcock movies. Like so many of these movies that I'm just like, yeah, I'm just never going to watch those again. So I get it.
No, I get it. But yeah, but I guess I just wanted to kind of comment on those. I don't want to have to deep dive in all the lists. We got so many other things to cover, but yeah, I just at least wanted to talk about those and just how some of my opinions have changed on some of those things.
I get that. All right, Heather. What's a question? Let's get some of these in here.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to go down the list of a few questions we got. And one of the first ones that we got in was talking about Jaws 1 through 3 and how Jaws 3D is underrated. That came from, I think, Dustin.
First and foremost, I'm offended that he left the second best Jaws movie off the list with Jaws Revenge, the fourth one. So offended. I do kind of agree. Jaws 3D is underrated because it is one of the sillier and stupider ones. You know, there's like the one shark and then there's the other Jaws and then there's the mega Jaws at the end. It's like the size of a fucking submarine, you know, and it's attacking a SeaWorld. That's all fantastic. You know, it's just shitty, but it's a fun watch. I'll say that. That's where I'll give Dustin credit. Jaws 3D is a shitty fucking movie. It's a fun watch because it's just nonsense. Like, and it's really great when you get a really bad copy of it that is still like slightly 3D. It's got the red and blue filter on it still a little bit. They didn't remove it completely. So some of the scenes just look kind of blurry because it's got the 3D filter on it. It's fantastic. God, I love it when they did shitty ass fucking ports of that stuff. But that didn't happen as much anymore in the age of like digital stuff. Oh, but man, back in the day, you get that 4th of July TBS Jaws marathon. Oh, they'd get the shittiest version of Jaws 3D up there. Oh, it was fucking amazing. Everything was slightly hazy and blue and red. And yet no one had 3D glasses, so it did not fucking matter. Oh, fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. Loved it.
See, I've actually only ever seen the first Jaws. Unfortunately, I can't contribute to it, but I believe you.
What do you mean you've only seen the first Jaws? You did not go and watch Jaws the Revenge, really? I went and spent just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars getting a tattoo in reference to this movie, and you didn't even bother going and watching it, Heather? That's offensive.
I apologize.
Apology not accepted. I love how,
but I like the tattoo.
I loved how Justin did the definition of a chortle, like Justin chorted.
It made me chuckle.
You've seen them all, right, Justin? You've seen all the Jaws movies?
Yes, I've seen them, and I don't. Oh. Why is he making us talk about this? Because now it's reminding me of scenes. Which one was the one where we were at SeaWorld?
Yeah, Jaws 3D. Yeah, that's SeaWorld.
Yeah, that one.
That's fucking great.
Wait, question. In Jaws 2, is like one of the boys from the first one killed in the very beginning of that movie?
No.
Okay.
That's Jaws the Revenge when he's an adult and a police officer.
Okay. And what number movie is that?
That's number 4. God, get
Okay.
it together, Heather.
I feel like I've seen parts of that movie, but I just vaguely remember that. It was probably just on and I was kind of vaguely watching it.
The rest of the movie takes place in the Bahamas. It's very easy to recognize. And it's got Mario Van Peebles. It's got Van Peebles.
MVP. But you know what shark movie is underrated though? The LL Cool J, My Deepest Blue is Shark's
Deep
Fin.
Blue Sea. Oh, utterly fantastic
That's
shark
underrated.
movie.
Yeah.
That's underrated. When Sam Jackson just got ate out of nowhere. I guess I should have said spoiler for that movie. Do you remember that?
Oh,
Guys,
that
we
is
got
a
paired together,
thing.
and it was
of
this heartfelt
fucking
moment, and it just
beauty.
went eaten.
Oh, that is one of my favorite animal deaths, like animal kills a motherfucker scenes in a movie. Oh, it is fucking glorious.
I mean,
He's going off. He's like, fuck
he
these
poured his
sharks.
heart out.
Fuck this shit. Dead.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters, I remember, and it scared me because I was like, it was just so loud and unexpected. And I was like, what is going on? I remember being like terrified by that scene. But yeah, it was, I would say that's definitely up there for me for shark movies.
I mean, I'll put this into context for you motherfuckers. Did you guys know there's a Deep Blue Sea 2 and 3? Because I did. And I've seen them all.
Did not know that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. True story. In fact, Deep Blue Sea 3 came out, I think, only like 3 years ago. Yeah. Guess what, motherfuckers? All those movies in my iTunes. Ready for you to watch. That's right. I fucking own them.
I don't know what to say. Why did they do this? Why?
They're only mostly shitty. It's fine.
Man, you know what's like really amazing? I think it really puts into perspective just how great Jaws 1 is. Because is there any other movie that has so many copies of it? Like, I mean, how many shark eat big sea animal eat motherfuckers movies are there? and they all have Jaws to thank for it. I think that movie has spawned the most copies. There are things that copy Jaws that aren't Jaws. The movie we all like by Jordan
Nope.
Peele. Nope. That's under the Jaws umbrella too. Like, do you know how many Cher movies are probably under the Jaws umbrella? It might be more than any movie. It might be more than any movie in the world, possibly.
You can even get right down to the fact of like just animals attacking fuckers. Like almost all end up following the Jaws formula. You know, I mean, look at like Lake Placid follows the Jaws formula. You know, so many of these movies follow the Jaws. Anaconda follows Jaws. Like they all follow Jaws. I mean, also,
so like, and you're talking about like non-shark animals. We're not even talking about the hundreds of shark movies. Just all of them. Sharknado, Megalodon, all that. I mean, like it doesn't like all of these movies, like it kind of gives some legs to the argument that some people make that Jaws is the greatest movie of all time. Like when you
want to
think
hear
about
something
it like that.
You want to hear something?
Yeah.
I'll make the argument for. Arachnophobia is a copy of Jaws. The structure of arachnophobia is the same as Jaws. It's you've got the people, and you know, oh, I think this is happening. No, it's not. We got to get the expert. We get the expert. Expert dies. The other scientist person is the one that ends up living and helping. You know, you've got the creature just fucking exploding at the end of the movie for no fucking reason. That fucking spider explodes at the end of that fucking movie. You've got the decoy spider. Well, you got the decoy shark in Jaws. You know, so much of those fucking things line up, man. You know, it's the same fucking thing. It's the same formula. And can you really get any more different than fucking spiders and a big ass shark in the ocean? Like, it's still the same formula though. Like,
yeah,
Jaws did everything. Jaws did all the hard work. Jaws showed you, hey, this is how you just make monster movie popular. And everyone else kind of followed it. Like the real life animal monster, I should say. You know.
Yeah,
and
it's like one of those things, like if you're going to argue what movie is the greatest movie of all time, and it's like when that question is proposed, of course there are different answers, but can you really argue it? You know, I think the one, and I think Jaws has to be one of those movies where it could be argued because of the sheer influence.
Jaws is also considered the first modern blockbuster also. It is considered the art, like it was the movie that was like, hey, we should do our big movie releases in the summer. It's the movie that started that whole trend. You know, I mean, if any, like you said, Justin, anybody out there and you're like, oh, hey, what's your favorite movie? Anybody ever says Jaws? I never go, really? Like, I'm never surprised by that. I'm just like, oh, yeah, of course. Fantastic fucking movie. Like, yeah, makes sense. That tracks.
And then it's one of the few movies where even the story behind the scenes is almost just as incredible. Just the pressure that Spielberg was under, the time that they needed to shoot, the necessity being the mother of invention and not showing the shark and making it more cerebral because they didn't have the money to be able to show the shark all these different times. Just like everything that went into making that film is almost as fascinating as the film itself. Like, it's just, it's got to be up there as one of the greatest movies of all time, if not the greatest. It's got to be. It's just got so much for it that you could be able to argue. There's just a lot of evidence to argue for it, you know.
I mean, Steven Spielberg's even ripped off his own movie with Jurassic Park. Look at Jurassic Park and look at Jaws. And tell me they're not structured the same fucking way. It's the same fucking thing. And I'm not complaining. We talked about it in depth in Nope. When I was like, look, let's break down Nope and compare it to Jaws. They're the same fucking movie. And I'm not saying that as a knock against Nope. Because if you're a capable fucking director, you're a capable fucking writer, you can do that and make a different movie that also feels the same, but is also different. Because while Nope rips off Jaws on an almost scene by scene basis, it is still an incredibly original and fresh movie. You know, because if you're creative enough, you can do shit like that. Steven Spielberg, like I said, did that with Jurassic Park. On the surface, when you look at them, yeah, it's two different movies. If you break down the way they're structured, you break down even some of the behind the scenes shit and all kinds of other stuff. Okay, yeah, they're the same. But that just shows how good Steven Spielberg can be at that shit. He can rip off his own movie and still make it completely different. Like, that's what happens. But also, yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with you on that though, Justin. Jaws is like, it is, you know, if you want to like steal something from Marvel, it's one of those like, what do they call it? Nexus events in the Marvel multiverse and stuff like that, or like the Nexus points or the Nexus characters, whatever the fuck they call those things in Loki.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's that for cinema. Like, it's one of those essentials that just, no matter what, like you can watch that now and it still holds up. It doesn't even really feel dated. Like, yeah, the clothes do, you know, the look is kind of dated, but story wise, it's one of those timeless stories. The way it's told, dude, that fucking scene when they're all on the boat and they're fucking comparing scars with each other and getting drunk, and behind the scenes note, getting drunk in real life, because that was the best way to make that scene work, was they all got fucking loaded. And that guy's fucking telling the story of the Indianapolis, which, by the way, also, if anybody doesn't know, that's a real story of, you know, the ship going down and the crew being eaten by fucking sharks. Yeah, that's a thing that really happened in real life. Yeah. And I think, and that's what kind of makes that scene even better. It's a true story. Now, you know, like his character is written, you know, but like it ties so well into this. You feel it in the character. You feel like those moments, and it's like, you know, this like very, you know, scene that's got a lot of levity, and they're actually joking and they're getting drunk. And then it just gets so dour. Like it pivots with that seriousness. But also, if you've ever been around a bunch of shit-faced drunk people, shit like that happens. That's a very true shift in tonality with drunk motherfuckers. You know? And yeah, it's fucking great. Like, yeah, dude, every 4th of July, that's why I look forward to the 4th of July. Is honestly because that's when everybody runs fucking Jaws marathons. And that's a good fucking time to love movies, is to watch some fucking Jaws.
Quick question.
Man.
Were you talking about a canon event? Is that what you meant?
That's from Into the Spider-Verse. But yes, same type of thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's a canon event.
Same thing though.
Yeah,
Okay.
same principle. Yes.
Dude, Shark Week is because of Jaws.
Yeah. But also, you caring about Shark Week is because of Jaws. Like,
Yep.
Discovery would probably have documentaries about sharks, sure. But the fact that they were like, oh, let's do a Shark Week. And the fact that that is like a cultural event, everybody's like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, dude, Shark Week, Shark Week, Shark Week. Yeah, that's all because of Jaws.
All right, you guys ready for the next question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Just needed a moment of reflection on that. On that
Moment
mic
of-
drop there.
Moment of silence for that movie. Yeah. To kind of circle back to Justin's Clint Eastwood conversation, one of the questions we got was top 3 Westerns.
Who's going first?
I mean, for me, I'll be honest, like I'm old Westerns, I'm not a huge fan of. So I kind of went more modern with mine. And I put down, honestly, The Harder They Fall. I just think that movie is so good. Like that movie is so excellent. And then The Quick and the Dead is like, yeah, I remember watching that a lot as a kid. And I think it was the first thing I saw Leonardo DiCaprio in, if I'm not mistaken, and Russell Crowe probably. And then I put Django. So that's, I mean, more modern ones, but that's the ones that I cared more about than the older ones.
I do have to agree with you on Quick and the Dead. I love Quick and the Dead. I have to put Tombstone though. I have to.
Tombstone.
Val Kilmer alone in that fucking movie wrecks it. And I feel in my heart of hearts, if I really have to, I have to put a Kevin Costner Western. And I'm torn because do I do the other movie of Wyatt Earp, which is Wyatt Earp, like his version's Wyatt Earp, and it's Tombstone, but it's him. Or do I do like Dances with Wolves? Or, like so many of those things, like it gets tough with it. Because like, do I really want to go Dances with Wolves? Because as much as I do think that was a fantastic movie and all this other stuff, do I really want to sit here and do this whole thing and go, let me get that fantastic white savior Western? Because, that's what's necessary in 2024 is waxing poetic about a fucking white savior Western. So yeah, I might have to go Wyatt Earp. Because that's just one of those things where you got like 2 fantastic Wyatt Earp movies in Tombstone and Wyatt Earp. And they both were really fucking good.
I'm kind of with you, Heather. Like some of the more, I guess you could say, modern Westerns are really good. But yeah, Tombstone is definitely going to be on the list. No Country for Old Men is probably on my list. I love that movie. I freaking love that movie. And man, I know I just mentioned Unforgiven, and I'm like, man, Clint's just been rubbing me the wrong way, but I really like that movie. You know what? I'll give this one some love. What was the it was a remake of
310 to Yuma.
Not 310 to Yuma, but it had oh my gosh, Jeff Bridges. And it's a remake of Mr. Racist.
Oh fuck! I knew it until
it's on the tip of my tongue, man.
True Grit.
True Grit. That's a freaking good movie, dude.
That's a good one. I like the remake a lot.
Jeff Bridges, bro.
And it is so funny in my family. You would think I slapped a baby when I say I like the remake better than the original. But you know what? I'm coming on it like from like a truly just scientific and empirical point of view. It is a fucking better movie than that fucking John Wayne bullshit. It is. They're just, if you took them side by side and went, which is just an empirically better movie, the fucking remake is better. Like, just get the fuck over it. It is a better fucking movie.
Yeah, that shit's tight. It's tight. And Heather, The Harder They Fall is a great movie. It is. It's really fucking good.
Well, and I like the fact that you said No Country for Old Men, because it's not a traditional Western, because it is slightly more modern, but it's still dated, but new, like when it comes to Westerns. But if you look at it, it follows the Western formula. It is a Western movie. So I really like that you brought that up. And the reason why I said 3:10 to Yuma, though, is because it is a remake, but also it's a fucking damn good Western.
Yeah, 3:10 to Yuma is good.
Hell or High Water is another very good Western. There is a more modern movie. It's from a few years ago. Bone Tomahawk is another really good one.
Oh, what was the one with the black people on Netflix? And it had the cast was almost all
black.
black.
That Harder They Fall?
Yeah, The Harder They Fall.
Oh,
With
you said
Idris
that.
Elba?
You said
Yeah.
that. My bad.
Or were you thinking of a different movie when I said that?
I think I was thinking of Hell or High Water when you said that. But no, The Harder They Fall. Yes. Sorry. I'm
You're
getting
good.
them all mixed up in my head. But
The names
yes,
are all very
yes.
like they get jumbled together because they all are kind of like they're trying to say the same thing pretty much either way.
Yeah, all Westerns have
minute.
All Westerns have a theme with their names. And that's like why you can look at No Country for Old Men, even though it's based in the 1980s, and go, oh, that's a Western. Because also just with the name No Country for Old Men, that could have been a movie based in the 1880s. They all fit that same thing. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, True Grit,
Yeah.
Hell or High Water, The Harder They Fall. Like it's all kind of the same thing.
And then you get into Unforgiven and Fistful of Dollars, and it's all the same. Even when you go to video games, Red Dead Redemption, it's all the same fucking naming scheme. It's all shit that feels like it was, something they would say in 1880. Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are we ready for another question?
Yeah.
So this one came in and it said our personal top 3 genres list. So I didn't know if that meant like what movie genres are our tops, like that we like, or if it meant our top 3 movies in each genre. I wasn't sure what they meant by it, so you guys can help me decide.
I would say top 3 genres, just because otherwise we're going to sit here and list 87 movies. Because it's like, well, this is a crime noir thriller versus a modern cyber thriller, which are to me 2 different genres, but technically could also be considered thriller. That'd be a mess. So I think the easiest way to answer that would be, what are your top 3 movie genres?
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Go for it.
I think you should. No, Justin, you start this one.
Okay. Oh man, this is something I never really thought about, but I mean, horror's got to be in there, right? I mean,
it's your pick,
you
Justin.
You just gotta. It's got to be in there though. Like, you just gotta. You got to take the good and take the bad and mix it up, and then you have horror, and and I love it. I love that it's all in there. It's got some of the horror comedies are great. Some of the just really scary horror movies are good. Some of the spoofs, and satire horror is good, like the first Scream movie. And I mean, there's just,
I think that where horror, can make a case for the ultimate genre is the fact that you can encompass every other genre in horror.
Mm-hmm. It's so versatile. And I've seen so many good things from anytime it tries to like mix genres. there's some really good stuff for any of those, whether it's drama or, like we said, satire, or it's something kind of more sadistic, or it's comedy. Man, I mean, there's just good horror everything. So it might be the most versatile genre. And I don't know if there's a person alive who doesn't have a horror movie that they really like, you know?
Even people that don't like horror films probably have a horror film they like. Like, they don't like the really scary shit, but they might like something like A Cabin in the Woods, you know, or something like that. That's more on the comedic side of things.
And it has some of the most recognizable characters of any genre. Like, it might be
And
the
villains.
only genre where, like, it might be the only genre where somebody could just wear a uniform and you know who that is. Or if they've got a red and green striped long sleeve sweater, you know who that is. Or, like, you see the mask, the Scream mask, the Jason mask, the Freddy Claw, you see that stuff everywhere. Like, it's just, like, even when you just look at all of the icons from it, it's just got some of the most like, everybody knows what that stuff is. And you kind of remember the age you were when you saw some of this shit. Like, it's just ingrained in our memories even.
Well, we can go a little full circle for a second. You can make an argument that Jaws is a horror film.
Yep. Yeah. Like, so I feel like that's got to be in there. That's even if I wouldn't have immediately said that, how could it not be one of my favorite genres? Like, I'm too invested in it. I watch them too much. There are even horror movies coming that you see previews for them and stuff, and you get excited, you know? You get excited about them. You're like, oh man, that could be something. Like, it's one of the genres that I'm most hopeful for. Like, when I see previews and stuff like that, you know, and you see stuff and you're like, man, I really hope that's something. I really hope it's not bad. Like, it's often the genre where I see a preview for something and I hope that it's good. You know?
Yeah, I didn't think of that until you said that, and I'm like, I think I'm the same way. Like, I want nothing more than a good horror film. Like, you know what I mean? Like, comedies come and go, whatever, but like, I see a horror trailer and I'm like, man, I hope that's good. Like,
don't you just root for it all the time?
Yeah, that is like that's one of those weird like revelations where I'm like, no, I do the same thing. I'm like, okay, horror movie, maybe. Like, you just want them to be good. And I think it's because of how varied they are. Like, and like you said, how influential they can be. And one of the things we've talked about before, like how they can just tap into your more primal emotions in things. Like, when you look at hierarchy of needs and all this other stuff, like survival, like it taps into that, just the will to live, which is the most basic of instincts that most people have, you know, and like they can be all kinds of things. And like, man, like it is the utility genre. And I think that that's where it leaves its mark better than anything. And I think, yeah, I like, and I liked how you said that too, that it's not what you would think of at first. Like, oh, let me think of the best genres and be like, oh, horror, because horror is like the stepchild's genre also. Like, it's the one that also gets the most shit, you know? But also the thing is like those like schlocky bad horror films are sometimes some of the funnest things to watch. You know, like I'm not talking about like a Nun 2 where it's just bad. But like, fuck, I loved watching Thanksgiving 3. That was fun to watch. Like, that's a fun watch. It's a garbage ass movie, but it was a fun watch. You know, like, where the fuck else are you getting that shit? I'm not sitting there watching a drama going, man, The acting was shitty. The story was shitty. The cinematography was shitty. Let me watch that again. But I'll do that on a horror film. I mean, I've watched a movie that I bet both of you two didn't even know existed. There's a movie called Don't Fuck in the Woods, and it's also got a sequel, Don't Fuck in the Woods 2. I've watched both of those. They are garbage. I don't regret watching them, though.
And we've done some fun episodes ragging on some horror movies, like Big Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Well, I mean, I was thinking like one of my like favorite memories of like episodes we've done have been like the one where we did the Pope's Exorcist and then the Pray for the Devil. Like that was just so fun, just dissecting and laughing at the terribleness, but also appreciating, you know, the parts that did end up good. Like there's just so much fun dialogue that can also go with talking about horror movies, but also kind of to your point earlier, Sterling, like there's so many bad ones that when you actually find a really good horror movie too, you're even more excited because you're like, oh, they actually did it right. Like it's a good horror film and not just like a silly, fun, whatever, but they actually did a good job with it. Like you're just kind of double excited for that, you know?
Oh yeah. Like it's one of those fun things that like, there's just weirdly something universal about horror films where, you know, everybody's got that funny one they like. Then you get in those meticulous genres of it. Like, well, there's the zombie movies, and then there's like the old school zombie movies versus the new school zombie movies. There's the old slasher flicks versus the new slasher flicks. Like there's all of these things with it and all this other stuff. And, you know, there's like I said, like a low budget indie drama movie. I might not always take a chance on those because if the acting's bad in a drama, it kills the movie so fucking fast, unbelievably fast, because the whole point of a drama is to tap into emotional outlets that you might not get if the fucking people suck at showing you those things. But a shitty horror film, dude, I watched a movie on Amazon called Llamageddon. It is about an alien llama that comes to Earth and starts killing people and infecting people with llama disease. I enjoyed every fucking second of watching that movie. I watched a movie called Aquaslash, which is where a serial killer uses a water slide at an amusement park to murder people. One of the funnest fucking movies I've ever watched. Is it good? No, it is not. But was it a fun hour and a half of watching a fucking movie and watching some bullshit happen? Yeah, it was. What we talked about earlier, Deep Blue Sea. Is it really a good movie? No, it's not. But if anybody ever says, hey, you want to watch Deep Blue Sea? I was like, why the fuck haven't you started it? Let's go. Like I said, I watched Deep Blue Sea 2 and 3. You didn't even know those movies existed. And I've watched them. I own them. I actually bought those movies without seeing them and watched them after I purchased them. Because I was just so excited.
And now that you say that, it's the genre with those kind of surprises. Like, what other genre is there where you just find out a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 were just made, like, just out of nowhere? The horror is the only one that gives you that gives you those kinds of just treasures. Like somebody goes, did you know there was a 2 and a 3 and a 4? You're never going to hear that about freaking, I don't know.
Shakespeare in Love.
What's a drama? God, I can't even think of one right now. It's not like Love Actually or some shit. No one's going to be like, did you know they made Love Actually 2, 3, and 4? Like, only horror gives you that. You know, it's not like somebody's going to be like, hey, dude, there's a Pride and Prejudice 2 and 3.
But weirdly enough, there is a Pride and Prejudice in zombies.
There you go.
It's definitely the ultimate movie genre. You're right.
Like, it's the only one that gives you presents like that. Just It's the only one where I find out there's 5 other movies that, yes, they've been made. And even though it doesn't mean I'm going to watch them, but just that moment of, damn, they made 5 more? This is the only genre that provides that. It's the only genre that provides that for us. But I'll move on and I'll just run through these real quick. But I mean, drama is definitely one that's my favorites because I mean, I don't know. I just like the drama. I like conflict. I like when it's good. I like good dialogue. I like good acting. But does it bring me the same kind of joy as horror? No. Does it bring me the same kind of joy as often? No. I'm probably not as trusting, or maybe trusting is the wrong word. I'm not going to jump in as easy as I do with the horror movie. Like, it feels like horror is something where it's like, you know what? I'm going to watch it. If it's good, great. If it's bad, I'll have something to hate on. But when a drama is bad, when a story of a drama is bad, when the acting is bad, when it takes itself too seriously and you're just like, oh my God, what is this? That can be excruciating. So drama, as much as I love it, can be a real risk, you know?
I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's riskier, but it's not as fun when you don't pick right. It's not as fun as horror can be when it's not good. And then my last one, it's got to be action. I mean, come on, I'm a pro wrestler. What is this? Like, I'm a guy. I like movies for guys who like movies, man. I like my action.
You're a man.
Every now and then, I know that, you know, I'm all accepting of all cultures and sexualities and shit like that. But man, I'm a guy, man. Sometimes I need my guy shit. Sometimes I need a dude with muscles yelling and shooting a bunch of bad guys, or being like, I'm overly confident in myself and punching other people in the face. And, you know, I need my superheroes. I need that shit sometimes. I need my John Wicks, you know. I need my Bruce Lees. I need my and it's kind of similar. And sometimes for me it's similar to horror. Like, it could be bad, and it's like, damn, that was bad. But I can kind of live with it. It's not as excruciating when drama's bad, because sometimes you just expect there's going to be some bad action movies. Like, and I can probably be more picky about it. Like, particular things have to happen for me to really like think an action movie is great. But like, but yeah, you know, I have an urge for those, and I have to quench that thirst whenever I have it. So yeah, I would say action would probably be my third one.
There's that subset of early to mid 90s action movies that I just can't escape.
Dude, I feel you.
And some of them are bad, and some of them weirdly aged really well into movies that I think are now underrated. Like Demolition Man. I think at the time it was garbage, but now it's like a weird social satire on individuality and corporations and freedom and all of these things. It's a weirdly apt movie now. And I'm like, how the fuck did that grow into a poignant movie? I think another very underrated satire is Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
It's super underrated. Like, at the time, it was like, oh, whatever. Look, Arnold's making an action movie about being in an action movie, whatever. But you like look at it now and you're like, that's a satire of action films in the same regard as like Shaun of the Dead is a satire of zombie films, but it's also a good zombie film. Last Action Hero is that. It's a satire of early, like late 80s, early 90s horror or action films whilst also being a quintessential 90s action film. Like, it's full of all the shit you want to see in an action film in the 90s. Well, it makes fun of all that shit. It's weirdly incredible like that. But then I'll also watch Judge Dredd. That movie's garbage. And it does not age well. In fact, it ages very poorly because now there's a better Judge Dredd movie. And I'll still every once in a while watch Judge Dredd, though. Just because it scratches that early 90s action itch. That is just like, man, I need some bullshit action. I need to see some men on steroids doing some shit.
Yep. Sometimes you just need it.
I get it.
No matter how bad they are.
I get it.
I mean, would you say that Fall Guy kind of falls in that vein of almost satire in a way?
It is. I just don't think it was as smart. I don't think it landed as well as it thought it did or that it wanted to. But I see the elements of it. I do see that.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of like a more modern one now that does that kind of thing well. But yeah.
The most modern one I can think of off the top of my head is Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, which is the same people who did Shaun of the Dead, right? So, yeah.
And At World's End, but yes. Heather, what about you? What are your 3 genres?
I mean, yeah, I have to say horror for all the reasons you guys said too. I mean, and it is one of those where you think about like, yeah, if you get a bad horror movie, you're not as disappointed that you would be if you got a really bad drama or a really bad comedy.
Oh no, that Nun 2 though.
That almost destroys it all.
Well,
That's fair.
You guys remember when we watched Exorcist the Believer?
Sadly, yes, I do. But I mean, okay, fair enough. So yes, you could be disappointed, but I feel like the movies, like even those like B horror movies, I used to sit and watch those with my friend all the time. Like even if we weren't watching them together, we'd be like, all right, which one are you putting on? And we'd just be discussing how terrible or funny it is throughout the entire thing. Like it's really, I just feel like you're going to find something to enjoy even about the bad ones more than you would in most other genres. I think action is a close second on that because like you said, there's some action movies where it's terrible acting, terrible plot, but you know, you still get some really cool action sequences, you know, but like, yeah, with dramas, if you don't land it on that emotional pull in your drama, then you're like, what is this movie? Then it teeters on, it's too boring and it has no plot. And you know what I mean? Like there's just those types of things. So, and I don't know, horror, yeah, it's just fun. Like I always go in being like, oh, I want this to be scary, but I also want it to be very good. And there's funny horror movies I like. There's serious ones. Like I think I would have to agree with you guys. Like horror is definitely going to be one of my tops. I always like to say that thrillers are my favorite. That's my favorite movie genre is thrillers. That's where you got like your, you know, Gone Girl, your Prisoners, your Sixth Sense, movies like that, where it's, you know, really just great thriller type, you know, just very on the edge of your seat, but like a compelling story, which you also can't mess that up. Like if you do that, then there's no thrill. Like, what are you doing? Get Out, you know, is thriller like. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's so many great movies in that thriller type of vein, if you will. I mean, even to an extent, Knives Out a little bit. It's a mystery thriller, but you know, it kind of fits more on like the sillier side of a thriller, but you could kind of see it, I guess. But yeah, I think definitely, yeah, thriller. And then I'd probably have to go drama because I really enjoy just compelling performances from people, things that you feel like it's going to move you. And again, that could just tie back to my love of movies really kind of being ingrained in me when I saw a drama, and I feel like it was like, man, I understand what the purpose of people who act is now. Like this performance they're giving you, they're trying to really reach you on some level. And I really enjoy that about dramas, if it's a good drama. So I would probably, so horror, thriller, and drama for me.
Yeah, horror. We've already discussed that. Next for me would be sci-fi. I love sci-fi. I love all the elements of sci-fi. I love it when sci-fi is scary. I love it when sci-fi is funny. I love it when sci-fi is serious. I love it when sci-fi has a fucking thriller to it. One of my all-time favorite movies, Star Trek VI, Undiscovered Country, is a Soviet-era spy thriller set in fucking Star Trek. So I totally get it. It's like one of those things, but yes, sci-fi, sign me up. I love all that shit. I'm really kind of torn for my third, because it's like, do I want to go the thriller route? Because I do love, like I said, those Soviet era spy thrillers. I fucking love that shit. Do I go the action route? Because like we were talking about, dude, there are days I'm just like, nope, I got to watch Starship Troopers. Whilst it is an action film, it is also an amazing fucking satire. But also, like I said, Judge Dredd, Last Action Hero, Terminator, Demolition Man, fucking Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger, End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. God, I have put myself through an ungodly amount of garbage action movies that I do not like, but also cannot stop myself from watching to save my life.
Some of those Jean-Claude Van Damme's.
Oh God. Do you remember how terrible Time Cop is?
Oh, Time Cop. What was it? Lionheart.
Oh,
man, there's some yuck.
Dude, if you really look at it, Bloodsport and Kickboxer are not great movies either. But man, I'll fucking watch them though.
They hit the spot though.
Yeah, they do. That's the thing. They hit the spot. They get that itch. I fucking love it. Speed. It's a garbage movie. Gotta watch the fuck out some Speed though. Like all that shit, like the Lethal Weapon movies are not really that good if you really think about it. I'll watch a Lethal Weapon movie, but then you also get those weird itches. Like, I'm like, I need to see some Jackie Chan be funny. You can watch the first Rush Hour. It's still fucking great. But then sometimes I'm like, oh man, I need to watch Jackie Chan just kick so much ass as I'm funny. So then you watch like Legend of the Drunken Master, or you're like, oh, I need that mix of both. And you watch Rumble in the Bronx, or What's My Name, or Operation Condor, or, any of those fucking things. You just get those little fucking itches, so I totally get all that. But I think if it really comes down to it, though, I'm going to have to say rom-coms, though.
Okay.
Because there's that itch also. Like, I love a good love story. And I think rom-coms have the more fun love stories. I know you can get some really nice love stories and some dramas and all that other stuff. But I like a fun love story. I like something like a Definitely Maybe. I like something like even one we talked about, a few years back with like Marry Me. I love those love stories that are just utterly fucking bonkers and they make no fucking sense. And the sillier they are, the kind of more fun I have with it, like a Notting Hill. It's like I'm an A-list Hollywood actress and I'm a guy that owns a travel bookshop in England. And they somehow fall in love. It is stupid. And I eat it up every fucking time, though.
Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. I'll die on that hill. I love that movie.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir on that one. Oh, man. Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. That is a fucking gem of a fucking movie.
Have you seen that, Jason? It's so good. I don't even know why. Most people wouldn't say it's good, probably, but I think it's great. I really do.
Oh, Jazz.
No, there are some good ones. And sometimes it's good when they mix genres too. Like, remember Warm Bodies? Wasn't that like
Warm Bodies is great.
Yeah.
There's another one
That
that's
was
very
good.
much like that is almost in the horror genre too, called Spontaneous. It's about this high school where kids just start randomly fucking exploding.
Oh,
And it's a love story set in that. Nobody knows why. People just explode. It's a love story set in that. It's a fucking fantastic movie. So that's one to look out for. You know, there was one I was about to say, and then Heather said Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, and that's so true. 2 Weeks Notice with Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant. I love that.
that's good.
Music and Lyrics with Hugh Grant and Drew Barrymore. I'm not even a big Drew Barrymore fan. I don't know why. I fucking love that movie, though. And it is terrible. Don't get me wrong. It is a terrible movie, but I love it. Even weirdly enough, another Drew Barrymore, Wedding Singer. Wedding Singer is a good fucking movie for that shit.
It is, yeah. I think with Music and Lyrics, I think it's just because Hugh Grant is a very, very charming guy in any movie you really kind of put him in. I think that's probably why that works for you.
Probably. I hate that he's apparently a scumbag of a human being in real life. Not necessarily a sex pest, just more of he's a gigantic asshole at all times. But, it works.
My only rebuttal to anything you said is Speed is it's not a garbage movie. Speed is an excellent film. I just have to say that. I love that movie.
But the premise of Speed is stupid.
That's fair, yes. But they just make it work somehow. It's just very well written.
Oh, yeah, it works functionally as a movie. But really think about it. A bus has to stay above that speed come on, it's stupid. But, it works.
And that chemistry
got
with
two
Keanu
people
and Sandra.
Yeah, you just got two people doing what they do. You got Keanu and bullocking. And I mean, there's just a lot of bullocking and Keanuing, and it's irresistible. It's just
And
too
hoopering,
much.
too. There's some hoopering.
Yeah.
Or hoppering.
Yeah.
Hoppering. Yeah, it should be hoppering.
Yeah.
There's some hoppering
So
going
you
on.
got that hopper. You got that bullock. You got that Keanu. I mean, that's too much. Ing. You're just overwhelmed with the ing. You know what I mean? That's just a lot of ing going on. And some movies
And
do
you've-
live on that. They live and
And it's
die
also
on the
got a
ing.
Jeff Danielsing, too.
Jeff Daniels, yep. I still remember just that moment when essentially right before, spoiler alert, right before he dies, just the look on his face if he knows he's about to die. He just without saying words, he just delivered that so well.
But yeah, those are just some of the things I love. What's our next question, Heather?
Next question, 3 best football movies.
I'll go first. None.
It was hard for me to find some, to be honest. I haven't seen that many football movies, though. That might be why.
There's none of them that are truly great, really. That's all I got.
You don't want to get on that Facing the Giants, Sterling? We know you love that movie.
Fuck right off with that. I had a motherfucker. Okay, let's do a quick story then if you want to bring up Facing the Giants. So I was dating this girl, and she was her and her family were all relatively conservative Christians. She's dating me because she wants to rebel, I guess, whatever. And her grandmother was like, you need to watch this scene from this movie because, it just truly exemplifies why you should be a believer in Christ. And so it's a scene from this movie, Facing the Giants, where this guy gets on this offensive lineman's back and he's doing a bear crawl. And he's like, all right, you just got to get to the 20 or something from the end zone. And he's like, all right, you're almost there. You're almost there. Oh no, you're almost there. And the guy's like, I can't do it. And the coach is like, you can. You just got to believe. You just got to believe in Jesus and you can make it to the 20. And he keeps going and he keeps going. He's like, I can't do it. He's like, no, you're almost there. You're just almost there. He keeps going. And then he makes it and he just falls. And he goes, like, the coach goes, like, you did it. And the guy falls. And he's like, he takes out the blindfold and realizes he went across the whole field. In what fucking universe was that supposed to change my fucking mind on anything? Because you're also telling me that this motherfucker is so stupid. He can't tell the difference between 20 yards and 100 yards, even though you're blindfolded. I might not be able to go, hey, I went fucking 20. But guess what? I know that I fucking went 100. Like, really? You can't tell that difference? Come on, get the fuck out of here with that. But yeah, that was supposed to change my mind about everything and just change my life and just go, man, I need to reassess everything. Because this motherfucker in a movie bear crawled 100 yards. Apparently, that's proof existentially that, Jesus is a thing.
The amount of times that, like, I was sitting either in my private college or like a sermon and they had to like show that clip to like prove a point about something.
On top of all of it, it's just a shitty scene too. It's just bad. Like, it's a bad movie, guys. I don't know why y'all like think it's good. It's not. But like, there's not really any football movies I like. I mean, The Replacements, it's whatever. Any Given Sunday, it's whatever. Remember the Titans is a bunch of fucking lies, but it's whatever. The Blind Spot or Blind Side, that's whatever. What's another one? I can't even think of any more off the top of my. Friday Night Lights. That's whatever. Rudy. Fuck that movie. There's just like, Justin, quit acting like that's the first time I've ever said that.
Rudy. I know you said it before. Poor Rudy.
I mean, that's not even the first time I've said that on this podcast. So that's not a new thing. I mean, there's just not really any great football movies though. If push comes to shove, and they're like, Sterling, you have to name a great football movie. Cool. I'll go to a documentary, The U and the U Part 2. How about that?
Yeah, I was about to say, I like sports documentaries and football stories like that. Documentaries, those are great. Like, those are awesome. That's kind of where the gold is. But as far as movies, man, I mean, everybody kind of likes, I think there are some legs to you saying there may not be any that are necessarily great because typically everybody likes the same ones. You're going to hear about Remember the Titans. I mean, is it a classic? Probably at this point. Do people know it? Yes. Is it probably better than a lot of the other ones? Yes. So, I mean, I'm not going to take its flowers away, but you just hear a lot about the same ones. You're going to probably hear about that. What was the one with Al Pacino? I don't think it's good, but a lot of people like it. Yeah, Any Given Sunday, that one, Willie Beeman and all that shit.
Now, I will say this. Any Given Sunday has the best song in a football movie, because Willie Beeman got the women creaming.
There you go. He does have that. I don't know, like what, Invincible, Friday Night Live. You just hear a lot of the same names all the time. And I can't say they're bad movies, but I'm never just like, oh man, I need a football movie today. I'm never in a mood like that. But I will say, arguably one great one may be Brian's song. That one about the Chicago Bears and the player and the black guy and the white guy, he dies and all that stuff. Like that might be a great movie. That has to do with
also
football.
Not
but it's
really
way
a football
more
movie.
Yeah, but I was about to say it's way more emphasis on relationships and drama than it is the football. It's almost like football is like in the background, but it's really about this other story, which is probably why it's great because it's less about football than these other ones are. But, I'll give credit where credit's due. It's considered a sports football movie. That might be like the one I could say is probably great. But yeah, I get what you're saying with that, Sterling. You know, you're just going to hear a lot of the same ones. Oh, and Airbud Golden Receiver. Can't forget about him.
You can forget about him. That's a lie. I mean, the thing is, too, is it's like the reason why I don't like Remember the Titans is like, all right, it's fine. It's a story, whatever. But like the football's bad football. I'm tired of fucking football movies having a motherfucker get clotheslined. And I'm not talking about like, no, it is fucking straight up a clothesline. I'm fucking tired of seeing that in football movies. Why? When the fuck do you see that in the NFL? You know, nobody fucking holds out their arm to clothesline a motherfucker. That's how you get your fucking shoulder torn off. Like, no, fuck that. I'm tired of seeing that in fucking football movies. And every football movie just loves having that scene, and fuck that. Tired of it. At least the replacements, you've got Gene Hackman just eating scenery and, you know, Keanu Reeves being Keanu Reeves. So that's at least some niceness with that. Heather, what about you? Our resident football expert.
Yes, of course. And it's funny too, because I'm not into football, but like I love the show Friday Night Lights. But again, it's also because it's about the people and the story behind it. It's not about the football part of it. And that's why I can get on board with that, because that's actually probably one of my favorite shows. But if we're talking movies, I mean, I'm going to be that person, but I did put Remember the Titans on mine. It's just, I mean, especially because I've seen even less football movies than you guys have. Like, I don't have a whole lot of selection here to go with. The Replacements was fine, but I didn't put that on my list. And then I put We Are Marshall. I liked that movie. I don't know how accurate it is to what actually happened with that, but I liked that movie. I don't know. I could tell by the face you're making that that's not a good call.
I also forgot that movie existed.
Yeah, I forgot about it, but I don't remember hating it.
Yeah. I mean, it's Matthew McConaughey and, Matthew Fox. I don't know. I didn't not like it. It was fine. It had some emotional moments in it, you know? And then I'm going to say this one and you're going to probably laugh. Little Giants. I don't know. I loved that movie as a kid. Little Giants was really a great movie as a kid. That's the only other one I could think of where that's probably the one I've seen the most times is Little Giants. So if we want to count that, then that might be my number one.
I mean, Justin personally hates that movie because the Cowboys lose again. So
I hate you.
Makes sense. You got a young Devin Sawa in there. You remember that?
What was her name? Becky Icebox Lynch or whatever?
Icebox. Oh, yeah.
I made that reference for you, Justin.
I know you did. I enjoyed it.
Becky Lynch is also a wrestler, Heather. That's why I combined the two.
Okay, I see.
I will say that at least that movie, that does have the good fake out of they show up for the game and they're like, yeah, we're going to win. And then they're like, oh no, Icebox is a cheerleader. And then Icebox goes, man, fuck this, puts on some fucking eye paint and goes out and fucking beats up some boys. That part's at least nice.
Yes.
But also that movie weirdly kept that trend of 90s movies where like you had the kid love interests and then their parents date. It's very weird. I don't know why that was just such a common thing. They loved going, oh, these kids like each other. Let's have their parents fuck instead. It's so weird. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This one, I feel like we've sort of touched on it in a past episode, but 3 worst theater going experiences.
Unequivocally, when I went and saw The Ring 2. Mainly just because that movie was so fucking terrible and I just walked the fuck out. Like, I just left. Like,
yeah, didn't you say that's like one of the only movies you've walked out of?
Yeah.
And then you predicted the whole thing.
Well, we had accidentally predicted that whole thing, and I found that out afterwards when I found out what they were like, Sterling, but no, she goes in the television. I was like, but no, we joked about that. And they're like, no, Sterling, it happens. And I was like, fuck, I have to watch this movie now. And I did. I went and watched it.
It was terrible. Was that the one with the mad deer? Where the deer,
Yes,
the angry
that's
deer?
the scene I left on. Whenever they're driving down the hall and their car just gets attacked by the deer, I was like, no, fuck this movie. I'm gone. Like, I can't do this. I'm leaving. That's what it was.
Those deer were
It's that
so
scene.
angry.
And it was just such bullshit. I was like, what is this? This movie is about a ghost of a girl trapped in a well. Why the fuck are there deer attacking a car? I left.
They were so angry, and I never understood it. They never explained what made the deer so angry. I just don't understand. They were just all the deer, all of them. There wasn't even one that was like, guys, we shouldn't be angry. All the deer were just angry.
They were all like Hulk smash. I don't know. Like I've had a bunch of weird fucking ones. I just throughout the years, like, I've talked about it on episodes when I watch a movie and it's bad, or, you have a bad experience and all this other stuff. I don't know. That's just the one that stands out the most to me because, it was that bad. Like I left. I don't know. I don't know if there's really anything else that I'm just like, oh man, this experience. I have experiences from when I worked at the movie theater. Those are two totally different things. I mean, I had a guy yelling at me that somebody threw a baby at his head, but I wasn't in that movie. I was just working there. So.
Gotcha.
Wow. Threw a baby at his head.
Yeah. I think he was trying to say somebody threw a baby diaper at his head, and that wasn't true either. But he said they threw something at my head. And I'm like, sir, I don't know. And he's like, it was a baby. Justin, you'll know this. This was the same man that at IHOP yelled at us that 10,000 Jewish evangelists were going to do something. That was the same guy?
Oh God!
At the movie theater.
Oh my God! Yeah. He can bend the truth a bit.
Yeah,
just a tad. And if the baby was thrown at him, I mean, I really hope the baby had the athleticism and the ability to land safely.
Based on my preliminary investigation after the movie, I think they were just throwing jalapenos at him.
Okay. Jalapenos, babies. I could see how you could get the two mixed up.
Tomato.
Yeah. Either or.
Half a dozen of one or the other, whatever the fuck that saying is.
I think that's happened before. I had some jalapenos and a woman was like, that's my baby. And then it just took her a second. She went and I was like, no, ma'am, these jalapenos. I get it. I get why you said that though. They look the same. I don't know if I have three, but I think one of them definitely is that story that I told you guys when we did, what was the movie? It was The Rock. He was a superhero.
Black Adam.
When I told that story about the mom that took my seat and then her son wasted the pizza and almost murked me and I had to jump over it. I didn't like that experience. That really sucked. I gave up my seat. I was a good Samaritan. And then I almost got Samaritaned on with the pizza. So I didn't like that. That was bad. As far as with the movie, man, I want to say the Star Wars, the Phantom Menace, like, I think I'm going to go there because I was so excited to see that movie. And it was so hard to stay awake during it. Like, there's so much talk about this and that and these politics I didn't care about. And there was just so much going on that was uninteresting. And I think that's one of the few times I was at a movie And I mean, I got through it and everything, but it was one of the few times where my excitement was just over the top to see it. And I mean, it was a midnight show and there were people, and I was off that day, and there were people dressed up and cosplaying characters and stuff like that. You know, it was a big opening for Star Wars, and Star Wars had come back after being away for so long, and it was just so exciting. And then that movie was draining. And it was one of those where you come out of it and you're such a fan, you're like, oh, it wasn't bad, you know, it was pretty good. And then after a while, it became okay to say how bad it was. It was one of those. It has to be.
I remember those days when like you would get so stuck in the hype. You're like, fuck yeah, that was great. And then like a year or two later, you're talking about it and you're like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't at all. That was bad. And I think the funniest thing about that was it's Phantom Menace, it's Attack of the Clones. It's those movies that, like, you know, when you first watched it and like everybody's getting so hyped because like, especially in Attack of the Clones, like Yoda's flipping and you're seeing Yoda fight with the lightsaber for the first time. You're like, fuck, man, yeah. And then like just like 2 years later, you're like, he just did a bunch of flippy bullshit. He didn't actually fight the motherfucker. He just kind of flipped around a lot. That's not that cool.
Yeah. And now it's just kind of one of those forgotten things that happen. Like, but it's true. Like, you sat through that movie, which is 90% dog shit. And then just because that Yoda scene happened, it was like that. You were like, oh man, that was so hype, man. Yeah, Yoda, yeah. And at the time, because of fandom and lying to yourself, that probably saved the movie. Like, you probably walked out going, you know what? It wasn't that bad. You know, at the end of the day, we got Yoda fighting and that was cool. And you're right. But you look back on it now and it's just like, I don't even think I've gone back and watched that scene one time. Just him jumping and flipping around. I probably watched more of Yoda in Soul Calibur than I did when he made a guest appearance than I have anything of that movie in Star Wars. Like, it just wasn't it, man. And I think at that time, my fandom made me go, I have to like this because I'm a fan. And sometimes our fandom does that. You know, you do that to yourself. You'll say, I'm going to like this. But on the inside, you know it was bad, brother. You know it was bad, brother.
I'm so glad I outgrew
bad,
that shit.
sis.
I'm so glad I've outgrown that.
Yeah.
Now I can just watch a movie and go, no, that sucked. Like, because, like, dude, that would have sucked for me if, like, with the Ghostbusters movies that we've gotten recently, if I had done that. If my fandom was just like, nope, they were great and all this other stuff, because, like, they weren't. And it's like I said in the episode, we deserve better. Why am I going to be like, nope, this is it. Like, this is what I'm willing to accept. Because I'm not. I've got decades of fandom for that shit. Give me a better fucking movie. Repay me for 30 years of fandom. Don't give me bullshit. But yeah, I get that, Justin. Heather, what about you?
Yeah, mine real quick. So Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. Specifically because before the movie started, and I want to say I went to go see this opening night, so it was like late at night and it was super crowded. But there was some kid that was there that just insisted on actually singing to everybody right up until like the movie started. And nobody wanted to stop the kid or whatever. And like some people were encouraging it. I don't know if they thought they were just being nice or whatever, but yeah. And then, and it was just, yeah, any of the previews and stuff like that going on, they were trying to sing over that as well. And then, but it was funny because there was some movie coming out around the same time that Zac Efron was in. And immediately everyone was like, all right, now you need to shut up because Zac Efron is on the screen. So it was just really odd and weird. And like, yeah, I don't know. It was just a strange thing. So I would say maybe that. And then there was a time when I don't know if you guys remember that movie Red and Red 2. So a group of friends were going to see Red 2 at a new theater that had just opened up. And something happened with the power going out. I think it was the weather or something like that. The power went out like a third of the way through the movie and didn't come back on. And so we didn't get to finish the movie. So that was fun. And then my third thing is when I was watching, I want to say it was the last Chronicles of Narnia movie that came out.
Wasn't that Prince Caspian?
Yeah, actually, you know what? It was the one before that because I never saw the third one.
The Voyage of Don Treader.
That's the one. Yeah. So, went to go see that with a group of friends as well. And during probably the last, I would say 10 minutes of the movie, the reel started messing up, cut off, and then it came back on and it was playing the movie upside down and backwards. So that they had to shut that down so they could fix it. And we had to wait at least a half hour for it to get fixed so we could finish watching the movie. But it was one of those where so many people didn't want to wait that they're like, you know what, let's just go to another theater here that's playing it and just try to catch the end of it. So it was just a madhouse in there. It was crazy. So yeah, those are mine.
Man, it sounds like I was in projection during that.
All right. Next question. Top 3 actors who are also musicians.
I mean, for me, I'm going to start with fucking Keanu Reeves. Just because I feel like I have to.
Now, he plays an instrument, I assume, correct?
Yeah, I think he plays guitar.
Okay.
Like he's actually in a band. Like he plays in a band. I just wanted to say him. I really hadn't thought of anybody else. I just wanted to say him. What's his name? I really like the songs from what's his name? Old boy from Stranger Things.
Yeah, Joe Keery.
Yeah.
His band Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, I like his stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
And then can I say Kelly Clarkson? Because she was technically in a movie once.
Yeah, we'll give it to you. That's fine.
Are you talking about From Justin to Kelly?
Hell yeah, buddy. I watched that movie a whole one time ever.
Only because of her, right?
Yeah. Ain't gonna lie, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was why. That's why we did it. That's why we did it.
You know what? She's done a few like just one-off episodes of shows I've seen. So she does other things, or she had done other things. I'm gonna definitely say Jack Black for me. He's great, and like Tenacious D is I just love Tenacious D, but just the fact that and I keep thinking about how when I first saw him in School of Rock, I was like, dude is like being super silly, but he actually has a good voice. Like his voice is actually solid. And then, yeah, I don't know. I know he plays guitar. I don't know what else he plays. Probably a bunch of things. But
as far as I know, it's just guitar.
Oh, is it? Okay. I just feel like he's the kind of guy who loves music so much that he would just play a bunch of things, but I could be, just making that up. I'm going to say Kevin Bacon as well. I think he kind of does like, if I'm not mistaken, is like folksy type music, right? Or something like that. And I know sometimes he does songs with his daughter. And then I'm going to go ahead and say Scarlett Johansson, because she has a wonderful voice. I don't know that she actually, pursues anything musically, but I've heard some like side stuff that she's done, and she's very good.
She's at least released an album.
Oh, has she? Okay. My thing was, I was going between her and Zooey Deschanel because I know she used to have a band as well. And her voice is amazing. I know that you hate her a lot, just her character in that show. But musically, like, she's got a great voice. She really does. But
Fuck
ScarJo,
everything about her.
ScarJo, though, she just, I don't know. It's a very unique voice. And yeah, I don't know. I just enjoy her style of singing. So yeah, that's mine.
What about you, Justin?
Well, one of them was definitely Jack Black. I don't know if I have three, but Jack Black immediately came to mind, and Heather already talked about that, like Tenacious D. I mean, I have some of their music on my phone, and Jack Black has done some good movies, and I thought School of Rock was good. He's definitely one of those people that comes to mind with that. I don't know. I haven't listened to too many people's music. I mean, I heard a little bit of Joaquin Phoenix's stuff, and he was all right. And I think he's a pretty good actor. He's played a lot of diverse roles. He's a respectable actor, and he does music. So you know what? I'll say him. He'll get my vote. This isn't something I often don't follow the music career of actors, but you know what? He'll get my vote. I heard a song of his one time. I don't even remember what it was, but I didn't hate it. I was like, oh, okay, that's him. All right, Joaquin. It's kind of one of those, all right, Joaquin, do your thing, bro. Do your thing. But yeah, so I'll say him. We'll go with those two.
I think your boy Andy from The Office is a musician as well.
Very good banjo player. Very good banjo player.
Okay. Yeah. And he is good in the show.
I mean, I do want to
him
give a
and
shout
Dwight
out.
saying what, Country Road or something like that. And that was good. That was a good rendition of that.
I do want to give a shout out to Steve Martin though, because that guy is also a phenomenal banjo player. Like outstanding banjo player. I want to mention a couple others real quick that were just they're kind of musicians that became actors, but are very good at both. With Common and Yasin Bey. Yasin Bey is also known as Mos Def for most people. I mean, both of them are phenomenal rappers. And then also like Yasin Bey especially is an amazing actor. And Common's really started to find his roles too, where he's succeeding more in those things. LL Cool J, also super underrated. When it comes to like the whole like battle rap thing and stuff like that in freestyles, like LL Cool J is a fucking legend with that shit. And, he's also a pretty good actor. It took him a minute to find his roles, but he's pretty good with that stuff. Another one I wanted to just give a weird mention to that people might not understand is Harry Connick Jr. He's an okay actor, but he's a legit phenomenal musician. I've seen a thing where like he's playing a concert, and I think it was like on PBS or something. It's like live from the Kennedy Hall or something. It's like some jazz stuff and all this, stuff where he's playing piano. And like the audience, because it's a bunch of white people, they start clapping on the ones and threes, which is not what you do. You clap on twos and fours. And it's like kind of throwing everybody off. So what Harry Connick Jr. does is in the middle of him playing a piano solo, he adds one measure of 5/4 and then goes back to a 4/4 time signature, which inherently switches the clapping from ones and threes to twos and fours without the audience changing anything. And just by doing that, he put them in a more natural rhythm for what the song was.
That's pretty cool.
And that's just one of those things where to musically be able to just know what to do and to do it and to flip into it is something that not a lot of people can do.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. All right, are we ready for our next question? So this one I thought was an interesting one. I don't know if you guys will have any off the top of your head, but top movies with a character actor as the lead.
By definition, that's not a thing. If you're a character actor, you're not the lead actor. That's,
Or I guess it means like somebody who's famously known as a character actor playing a lead role in something before.
That's fair. A very recent example of that, I think, would be what was that Saw 10 movie we watched or whatever with Tobin Bell?
Tobin Bell.
I would say that.
Yeah.
He carries that movie the whole time. We even talked about it. I was like, wow, they really wasted Tobin Bell for all these movies, having him do all this other bullshit. So like that's one just right off the top of my head.
Yeah, that was on my list too.
Oh, that's going to be tough. I'm trying to think. That's one of those ones that requires research.
Yeah, and like I had to go more recent too, just because I was trying to think of things that were more fresh in my mind. And like, so I did say Tobin Bell as well, because I mean, he carried Saw 10. That like, there's just no doubt. And yeah, we were all just like, why isn't he doing more stuff? Also, Paul Giamatti in Holdovers, he was excellent. He was so good in that film. And I mean, you just always see him playing like side characters, or, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't really ever, at least in anything I had seen, it maybe, but for me, I always see him more as a character actor. And then I also said Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction, like always see him as like a side character actor situation. And he was amazing in American Fiction.
See, Paul Giamatti is one of those weird ones because he's done a few movies where he's the lead, like American Splendor or Sideways, but then he does a lot of side character work. He's just like he's the character guy in so many movies, but he does some really great leading movie work. I love Sideways. Now, granted, I haven't watched it in a minute. Maybe there might be problematic themes or something I won't like in it now, but he was great in that from what I remember.
I mean, also, I don't know. I feel like maybe does J.K. Simmons count as in Whiplash? Because technically he was supporting character in that movie, but he was still like a main character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we've seen him be main characters. Have we?
I don't know. I always see him in I've always seen him in side roles. But I mean, granted, you might have seen him in things I haven't. I had only ever seen him in like side or funny roles, or just like, Spider-Man or things like that is what I had seen him in.
Is he just the ultimate character actor to where he is playing nothing but side roles, but he's just so big that you just know him?
He's just iconic. I'm going to look it up though. I mean, keep going. I'm just going to make sure I'm not missing something.
Man, you had 3 good ones. Like this is hard because you're trying to think. You think of an actor and you go, well, he's side character most of the time.
One I just thought of is Andy Serkis.
Yeah. He would count. Yeah. he's I would agree with that. He's definitely one. I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but is Samuel L. Jackson a leading man most of the time, or is he uh I mean, what would you call him? Like,
He's
is
done some
he
lead stuff though, because like Black Snake Moan, he's a lead character. In Shaft, he's a lead character. In Shaft, I'm a Shaft dad. He's a lead character. Snakes on a Plane,
Yeah.
he's a lead character. Coach Carter, he's a lead character. He's done a lot of lead stuff. 187, he's a lead character.
So I guess, yeah, you would categorize him. Man, I guess he's done so much character actor work that
Yeah, but he's also done
it's
no less than 492 movies.
yeah, and he's just done so many movies. But yeah, I guess he would be considered a leading. I guess he wouldn't count. I guess he wouldn't count.
But I get why you say that, because it's like he's weirdly got two careers. He's got that career of
Yeah.
being the side character in so much, and then he's weirdly enough like William H. Macy, where he's got that almost an entire career of being a side character and an extra, or those types of, and then also being a more main character. He's been both in almost so much, where it's
Yeah.
almost like they've got so many movies of doing both that it's almost like they have legitimately two different careers.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, and William H is another one that's really good. Like he's done a lot. Like you said, it's just God, he's done a lot of side work, but those lead roles that he does get, he does do well in them. Man, I'm sure if I thought about it more, I would have more answers. I mean, I'm trying to think, as Christopher Walken well, I guess you could say early in his career he was a lead actor, right? But then late in his career he was more of a
Yeah.
character actor. But he's like the white Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he's just been in so much shit. But I would say maybe somebody like him, but I don't know. I think now he's more known as a character actor, so I would say him. I think he kind of counts.
Does Bob
I think he's
Odenkirk
kind of
count?
count.
I mean, he was great in Nobody.
Yeah, and in Better Call Saul, from what I've heard, he's fantastic
Yeah,
in that.
and
So
he's great.
He's
Yeah.
weirdly been that, because he's been around forever as the character actor, and then now he's starting to get those leading role aspects.
True.
Yeah. Did we miss anyone? Did you have any, Sterling?
I don't know. We can go.
All right. Best third film in a trilogy, or the top 3 best third film in a trilogy.
War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Toy Story 3. I'll say this begrudgingly unless I can think of something better. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Okay. I'm saying Bourne Ultimatum. I'm saying Dark Knight Rises, and I'm saying John Wick 3.
All right, yeah, John Wick 3 beats out Last Crusade.
Man, I might say
Rise of Skywalker.
you said Indiana Jones, so I'm gonna try to not have that.
I think he removed it, though. He
I
switched
did.
it.
I removed it for John Wick 3.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, John Wick 3 is a good one. Man, those are hella good. I'll try to say some different ones though. Spider-Man No Way Home. The third
Good
time
call.
on Spider-Man. Come on,
See,
man.
I think I'd replace that with Dark Knight Rises. You're right.
Oh, yeah. Get that shit. Get that out of there, Heather. Get it out of there. You got to put Spider-Man where he belongs.
Yeah, 100%. You're right.
Yeah, we'll go with that one. Oh man, third movies.
I fucked you up by picking War for the Planet of the Apes because.
And it has to be the trilogy. Yeah, and see, you said War already. So, and I mean, obviously that is definitely one, but and it has to be trilogies, right? Like it can't be.
I think it's safe to because we're including John Wick 3, right? Because at the time that was the third of the trilogy. Yeah, they added one after it, but still, it was the third of the trilogy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll go Return of the King. The Lord of the Rings, brother. Your favorite, Sterling. We'll go Return of the King. That was pretty damn good, dude. It was pretty damn good.
I think we have vastly different definitions of the word good.
Oh, come on. Come on, man. You know it was good.
I don't know shit, Justin. If
you log off this podcast and somebody walked up and said, "Hey, Sterling, did you like the Return of the King?" You go, "Yeah, it's good."
No. Justin, if knowing shit means I know that movie's good, I don't know shit.
Oh, come on, man. You're so harsh. So we got No Way Home. We got Return of the King. Was Skyfall the third James Bond movie in that? Bam, we'll go there.
Casino Royale, Bond, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Skyfall. We'll go with those three.
Okay. Next question. Now, this might require research. I don't know if we can answer it, or if all of us can, but I liked the question, favorite films under 90 minutes. I definitely had to research some of them because I was just I can't think of, I don't know runtimes off the top of my head, but I thought it was an interesting question if it's something that, or if you guys want to take a look at it and we can move to one question and come back to that.
I mean, one off the top of my head is Crawl.
Okay.
Because that was 1 hour, 27 minutes.
Maybe we go each one round and see where we're at. But Toy Story.
I forgot that a lot of those early Pixar's are around 90 minutes because they're kids' movies.
Is WALL-E under 90 minutes?
Nah, I think that's when that movie, they started getting to that prestige.
That 2 hour Pixar.
Because I looked up The Incredibles. I was like, oh yeah, Incredibles, then hour 50. You know what, Justin? I say you should be able to say WALL-E because it is 138.
It's really close. Yeah.
You're sitting at 98 minutes. I think that's close enough.
Okay, we'll go with that one.
It's still got an hour 30 in its runtime,
Okay. Yeah. We'll go with WALL-E. Man, there are some really good short films too.
Based on that rule, though, I'm going to say Candyman because it's an hour 39. It's still an hour 30 something. So I'll take that because it didn't get to that hour 40 mark.
I'm saying Phone Booth as well. Love that movie.
That's a sneaky good one. It's like Crawl to me. It's that movie that on paper has no business being as good as it is, but it somehow works when you watch it.
Yeah.
And I think to round mine out, I'm going to say Identity with John Cusack. I like that movie a lot.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's all the people trying to figure out who the killer is out of all the people at that hotel or whatever.
Oh, I'm having such a tough time with this last one. Everything I'm getting, I'm like, oh, this has got to be it. Hour 42. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Dude, the same thing is happening to me. Like,
Then there are some movies I'm like,
Everything's-
I did not remember that movie being that long. I'm just going to say Princess and the Frog because it's an hour 37.
Ooh, Zombieland is under 90.
Is it?
Yeah.
oh, is it?
Cabin in the Woods is an hour 35.
Zombieland, it's an hour 28. It just is under. Apparently, Army of Darkness is also under 90 minutes.
The first Halloween is 131. I'm gonna throw
Yeah.
that in there.
I'm gonna change my last one to Evil Dead 2. That's an hour 24.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my Candyman being a hair over though.
Child's Play. Okay. Airplane.
Oh man, I didn't even think of some of that stuff. Oh my goodness.
What We Do in the
Dang,
Shadows.
Shaun of the Dead is 137.
So close. Ooh, Clerks is under 90. Borat.
Oh man, we're just
Stand By Me. There's some good ones under 90. I didn't realize we're under 90.
we're gonna spend all night just looking at movies. Oh, what about this? How long is this one?
Yeah. All right. Do we want to move to the next one? So, the 3 worst movies that you unironically enjoy.
I don't know how to quantify that. Because if I enjoy it, is it really a worst movie? But also,
Yeah.
like, what does unironically enjoy? Like, I don't think I ironically enjoy anything. Like, I'm not 22 anymore. I don't like things because it's ironic. Like, I mean, just garbage movies that, like, I think we've mentioned a lot though. Like garbage movies that I'll watch again. Judge Dredd, Thanksgiving 3, Velocipaster, Don't Fuck in the Woods, Cole the Conqueror with Kevin Sorbo. Like, I know he's a garbage human being, but he defeats a demon by kissing it with ice breath. Come on, how the fuck am I not going to watch that movie? So many of these things like that.
That's fair. I mean, in the rom-com vein for me, a movie that most people super aren't a big fan of that I love is Bride Wars. I think it's a great movie. It's super fun.
It's super not.
Oh man, I think it's great. I love that movie. I know you don't like Kate Hudson. That's probably why you don't like it. Yeah, that's Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff. I'll watch it anytime it's on. I don't know why. I just really enjoy that movie.
I know why. It's got a good C.M. Murray in it. That's why you love it. Who the fuck can't love that movie?
Michael!
I mean,
Yeah.
there you go. And there's this movie that I have loved for forever that nobody else seems to like or even know maybe what it is. Renaissance Man, Danny DeVito. It's like where he becomes a teacher for the army because he needs a job and he teaches him about Shakespeare. It's the craziest movie, but I love it.
Well, number one for me is The Dentist. The Dentist.
Have you watched The Dentist 2 yet, Justin?
No, I need to get on that.
I bought it just for you, dude.
Yeah, I need to do that quick marathon and get my little dentist in. But much like a root canal, the dentist is not good. He just goes, come to my office, and he kills people. I mean, it's terrible. But I don't know. I can't stop myself from liking it. I just like it. His wife was cute. She was swimming in the pool. He got mad because the pool guy was, kind of flirting with her. And he's like, why don't you come get your teeth clean? And he kills him. It's bad, guys. It's terrible. It's not good at all.
Did you hear my list?
I've seen the first Dentist, Justin. I know it's bad.
He goes, come to my office, and he dentists them. But when he dents them, I like it. I just like how he dents, man. I like how he dents them. What's another bad movie I like? What was that movie with Jason Statham?
Crank 2 High Voltage?
And was that it? Crank. Yes.
Is that the one where he fucks on the horse racing course, and then he also has a kaiju battle with that guy at the end of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Crank 2 High Voltage.
And then he turns into a kaiju and they start fighting. It was so bad, but I got so much enjoyment out of that. I don't know why, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. And man, and Sterling, one episode that I remember us doing, what was that movie with Nicolas Cage?
Oh, Justin, that is one of my favorite episodes of all time that we ever recorded, because you're talking about Prisoners of Ghostland.
Yes, that. Where it was like, let me just get on this machine gun that's in town and mow down everybody that's fully loaded and just mow down everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
That is
town
probably
machine gun.
One of my favorite episodes we ever recorded, because we said, fuck doing non-spoilers or spoilers, because I don't know what the fuck the difference is in this movie. We just have to talk about the movie. And it was just like an hour and a half of you and me just going, do you remember this scene? What the fuck does that mean? But what was this? And what was that? And we were just both utterly confused, but utterly entranced at the same time.
Yes. One of the few movies to give me that kind of an experience. So yeah, I will never forget that movie. Prisoners of Ghostland. We'll never forget it.
I mean, I just thought it was so funny because just at no point, we were talking about one of the scenes and we were like, wait, are you talking about this scene? It's like, yeah. And it's like, but wait, what was that though? We were both watching the movie and we're like, but I don't know what I watched. But I also don't hate that I watched it. I was never mad that I watched that movie. But because I remember I said, I recommend this movie because I want other people to experience what the fuck just happened to me.
Yep.
And to this day, years later, I still don't know what the fuck happened to me.
It was an experience, man. And I just remember that was I don't know if we ever laughed so much through an episode because of just how confused we were about what occurred. So yeah, it was.
I mean, if we're going in that vein, Justin not watching the correct movie was probably a favorite moment too. Everybody was like, wait, what? Or you guys were like, like talking about it, and like there was so much confusion right up until we started recording about this movie, and even in the intro. And then you just realize like you did not watch the correct movie. That was pretty great.
Just the fact that Justin thought I was on my bullshit, because I was like, let's get on to this terrible movie where no one talks. And Justin's just like, Justin's doing his Justin face like, Sterling, why are you on that bullshit? Like, I know you don't like long movies and you think that, you know, all this shit, but like, Sterling, you can't say that specific phrase about this movie. That's like the one thing you cannot say about this movie. And it's because we were talking about two different movies.
Yeah, you thought it was Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah,
like,
and I'm like,
it's nothing
how
but
can he say
talking. What are you saying? The utter
when the
confusion.
episode started, and I texted him and was like, I didn't watch this.
It was so funny though. Just utter, like, yeah, even talking, you're like, I got a lot to say about this. And like, I remember Sterling being like what? Like, what do you mean you have a lot to say about this movie? What? And I think that Sterling might have thought you were joking, and then you thought he was joking, and then it was just utter confusion.
Yeah, because Justin's all, man, I've got a lot to say about this movie. And I'm like, what the fuck do you have to say about this movie?
Oh, man.
Yeah, because you're like, for a movie where there's not a lot of talking, why do you have so much to say? And he's like, what do you mean? So confused. That was great. All right, I have 3 more actual questions and one that's not really a question, but it was thrown at us. Top 3 Steven Seagal films.
Fuck all of them. He's a fucking sex trafficking alt-right fuckhead. And I know why you brought it up. And you're just mad that I'm right about Metallica and Saint Anger is the best album. That's all I have to say about that.
Never a bad time to bring up either of those things. All right, next question. Top 3 wrestling movies. Justin, you should kick this off.
Okay. We'll go with Foxcatcher, Steve Carell. No need to go into it. Steve's awesome in the movie. It's kind of based on a true story of these collegiate wrestlers and this coach, and the guy kind of goes haywire and things happen. I won't spoil it here, but, you know, it also actually happened. So, I mean, it's not like spoiling it, but either way, it neither here or there. It's good. It's a great movie. The Wrestler, I still think is a good movie. With
Mickey Rourke.
Yes, Mickey Rourke.
Marissa
His name,
Tomei.
I haven't said his name in so long it escaped me. But yes, that's a very good movie. A good story about an independent wrestler at the end of his career, and it was good. It was good. A lot of relatable stuff in there.
It's very much a cinematic movie, like cinematic version of like a Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Yeah, it really was. So I really think that was good. And the last one is tough because
Ready to Rumble.
Like I am not going to say that. But I'm thinking about Fighting with My Family, and I'm thinking about The Iron Claw, and which one would I say do I want to say is better, or do I want to is more of my, I don't know. You know what? Given the fact that in The Iron Claw, we kind of left some people out, but in Fighting with My Family, we did have, at least we had everybody in there, even though we didn't mention everybody. Paige's, or what's her name now? Soraya. Soraya's whole family, and I think that's her actual name, isn't it? So I probably should remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Soraya's whole family was featured in it. So you know what? I got to give it to that one. So yeah, we'll go Fighting with My Family. I think those are probably going to be my 3.
I mean, I think we could talk about it, but I mean, we're not going to disagree with that list. So, like, Because there's really
Yeah.
only 4, really. So
Are you forgetting Nacho Libre? I'm just kidding.
I was.
It is a wrestling movie, Sterling. It is a movie.
And I was forgetting it. But
Okay.
I'm still not going to say we're changing our list. Like,
There's a horror movie called WrestleManiac.
there's also the horror movie Wrestlers versus Zombies.
Yeah.
Didn't we
There he
watch
is.
WrestleManiac in that the Lucha guy that like?
Yes, we watched WrestleManiac. And it's bad.
We did.
No, Heather, you didn't. We watched Wrestlers versus Zombies for the podcast.
That's what it was. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
WrestleManiac is a movie we rented back in the days of renting videos and watched it at Justin's house.
Got it. Yeah, I was thinking of Wrestlers vs. Zombies. My bad. Yeah, that's the one. I mean, yeah, I also like, I wouldn't disagree with that list. I had both Iron Claw and Fighting with My Family on that. And then I also had Foxcatcher. Although that movie Peanut Butter Falcon is also technically about a wrestling, like learning how to wrestle, but I don't think I'd count it in the same category. I was just trying to think of other wrestling movies, but yeah.
Well, Ready to Rumble.
Which Justin should have said for sure.
I know that's one of Justin's favorite. He's just trying to play tough for the episode.
All right. The next question is the top 3 black and white movies. This one says post 1970, but if that's not something we can really think of off the top of our heads, we could just do black and white movies.
I mean, I think one that's quick and easy to name that fits this, that I feel like would be on most people's list, is Clerks.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, for me, I'd maybe say the movie Pie. I really liked The Artist when I watched it, but then I've never watched it since then, so I don't know. I might have to look at this a
Yeah,
little bit.
I'll give it some love. I did really like it, but you're right. I haven't seen it. I've only seen it the one time. But yeah.
I
get
still
that.
haven't seen that. For me, I'm going Schindler's List. I'm going The Lighthouse. And I'm going to go Roma.
I forgot American History X.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was wrong.
There's surprisingly been a lot. Oh, they're counting Sin City also.
Oh.
Oh, are they?
It's mostly black and white.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'll go Tragedy Macbeth, the newer one. With Denzel
That's
Washington.
a good one.
This is an old ass movie, but it has Marilyn Monroe in it. It's called Some Like It Hot. It's pretty damn good. It might be her best movie. Wait, what else has she done? Can I say that? I might be able to say that. Some Like It Hot is a really good movie. It's very good.
If we're going any time frame, I have to say 12 Angry Men.
Oh, yeah, that was very good.
Or To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, and see, like you said,
Well, and then that's fair too, because American History X is not only in black and white. Also, Pie is, though. Clerks is, And I like that you said Lighthouse, Heather. That's a very good one also.
Yeah.
Can we count Pleasantville? Just kidding. It's not all black and white.
I don't hate it.
The whole concept is it being not color. So maybe we can count that.
If I had seen the Godzilla plus one black and white, I'd probably just go ahead and say it.
Yeah, I love the name of it too. Godzilla -1 minus color. The best fucking name for a black and white version of a movie out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's tight. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was the actual title. That's pretty damn cool. That is cool. You're not going to say
Nothing about
Citizen
that movie's
Kane,
not
Sterling?
cool.
What about Citizen Kane, Sterling? I'm surprised you didn't mention it.
Or that good old Mank.
Yeah, your boy Mank. Your boy Big Mankovich. You liked it, didn't you?
You remember earlier, Justin, when you were like, oh man, dramas when they're bad, they're that much more disappointing? Yeah.
Touche. But no, we named some good ones though. I mean, we got a lot of really good ones in there. So I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
We went to some eras. We went to the 70s, like in the 80s. So I think we did a good job. We killed it.
All right. Our last question. Top 3 mafia movies.
That's a Justin special. What you got, Justin?
I'm all over that. Man, there are actually some really good ones, but I mean, how can I not say? I got to say the original Godfather. You got to say Goodfellas, and then you know those two are there, and really it's Godfather, Godfather Part 2, and Goodfellas. Those are the big 3. But like,
you put
but for
Goodfellas
fun-
on there, and I that's the one I care about the most.
yeah, like those are the main ones. You know what I'm saying? But for fun, with that one that Johnny Depp was in, Donnie Brasco. That's not bad. That's not a bad one. You
Was
know,
Donnie
it's
Brasco
not those.
What's the other one he did? Where he
where he was the mobster. Oh my gosh.
Untouchables
That
or
was
not
good.
Untouchables? The Capone.
No. It's not Johnny Depp.
Oh my gosh. It had some sort of name like
Dark Matter or something like that.
Black Mass.
Black Mass.
Public
Yeah.
Enemies is what I was thinking of, by the way. Sorry. But yeah, Black Mass.
Casino wasn't mobsters, was it? They were just,
Casinos are mobsters,
Yeah.
especially back then. Yeah.
yeah, I guess that counts. Yeah.
It's
So, you know,
organized crime.
Casino's good. Yeah, it's organized crime. Like, that's good.
I'm throwing Departed in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's got to be in there. I liked American Gangster with Denzel Washington. That wasn't bad either.
Honestly, my favorite, personally, Road to Perdition.
Oh yeah, that's organized crime. Yep. I really like that movie too. It's good. So yeah, just for fun, just to mention some other ones, because you know the Godfathers and Goodfellas are always, I mean, those are always going to be mentioned. So thought we'd shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, Untouchables was a good mention though, Heather. Like I know that wasn't the one we were thinking of
Yeah.
at the time, but Untouchables is a good one to mention.
Definitely.
I'm trying to
You
think
didn't
of
say
anyone.
the Irishman. Sterling, you didn't say the Irishman. Why is that?
How about I continue to not say it too?
Wait, Scarface or am I lying? Is that
I mean,
Same.
you could call it that, but I find it's a bigger stretch. Like, you're calling it a mafia movie or an organized crime movie is not as big of a stretch as calling it a good movie is.
Damn.
I mean, I haven't seen it. I just know that that's like a big movie people talk about.
You didn't like Tony Montana?
No, it's an overrated as fuck movie. What about Dog Day Afternoon? Would you consider that one? Because it kind of fits into the whole like gang and organized crime thing a little bit. Maybe not as much as some of these other ones, but you know, it gets into that loose definition of crime or mafia stuff, you know.
Mm.
You remember that parody just called Mafia? You remember that movie?
with Jay Moore.
Yep.
Sadly, I know that movie very well.
Same.
What about Corky Romano? How do you feel about the Corks, Justin?
Oh, God. Man, that has been a minute. That has been a minute, sir.
Do you remember that scene when him and the dog did a bunch of cocaine? That was a choice.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Gangs of New York?
That's a little too old.
Okay.
Because that was literally about like city gangs and not necessarily mafia stuff.
Gotcha. Well, that was all our questions. Thanks, everybody who asked questions.
Yeah, they were good this year. We had a lot of good ones. So that was fun.
300 episodes. Pretty exciting.
And of course, this one had to be so long too. Because God forbid we do anything in a tight, normal amount. We're like, oh, hey, 300 episodes. Let's do another 3-hour episode.
The episode of threes, for sure.
Yes, it was every bit of that.
You guys got any more thoughts on 300 episodes?
No, just thanks everybody who listens and enjoys our content.
Yeah, and chimed in and gave us questions because we got quite a few responses. So that's nice when you get that many. We had enough to fill a whole show and then some. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
I mean, I feel like I can't do 300 episodes without dropping just at least one more fuck you, Kurt.
Got to do it. Yeah.
Got to do it.
It's been a minute. You had to bring it back.
So on that note, thank you guys for listening to this very special 300th episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. Check us out on the internet at www.cinemaslayers.com. We're Cinema Slayers podcast on Facebook. We're cinema_slayers on Threads, on Letterboxd, on Instagram. We are at Cinema Slayers pod on TikTok and YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating and review. We'd really appreciate it. Really help us out. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends, and most of all, tell those dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love
300 episodes.
Yeah, they do. Shout out to Plug Migo and Mundo Ochoa for our theme song and logos, respectively. Remember, we here at the Cinema Slayers podcast are Pro Slut, Pro Sydney, and Pro Naked, and Justice for Chris and Todd. And stunt people? Wasn't that what we were adding? And stuntmen? And
Yes.
stunt people?
Yes, we did. We added it.
Yes. And remember you, yes, you Cinefans, you are Knuff. And then I would typically do the other stuff, and I forgot that. But anyway, it's been a very long episode. I'm trying to remember everything, where I'm at with all this. I think that's actually it. That's most of the stuff I say at the end of these episodes. You would think after 300 episodes, I'd have this way more down than I do. But my brain is what is considered scatterbrained. And so I don't remember everything. And I get all, like I said, scatterbrained. It's also why we have so many fucking tangents on this episode, or on this show, I should say. Not this episode. It's not like that's unique to just this. See, rambling like a motherfucker right now. Scatterbrained. And just so, as I always end these podcasts, these YouTube videos, and the TikToks, just remember, according to Justin, Moon Knight is the Best Picture winner.
Trying to remember how many episodes in you started saying that.
Nobody knows anything but you.
Very early.
It was very early.
Super
And
early.
then I just kind of kept saying it. I think for a while I was like, did different things that like Justin would say during the episode. And then I just got stuck on that. And then it just became the joke. And then I just kept doing it. And then it just became the thing. Yeah, that was very early on that Justin fucked that up.
And I was trying to find it one time, but I think it was just a random thing that happened in an episode. Like there was no way, like I was trying to think, okay, what were we talking about? What were we talking about? We had to have been talking about Oscars or something. And I was trying to mention Moonlight. But I could not find, I couldn't, there was nothing that triggered, oh, this must be when it happened. I think it was just so random that I couldn't find it. But
yeah, because I was ending them by just making fun of you. And then I said that once, and then I said it again. And then that just became a running joke. And then it just became the thing I do. Like at a certain point, I was doing it so often that I just had to keep doing it because that's what I just kept doing. And then it just became the outro.
it probably happened episode 8.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a very long time at this point.
I think it's been on 200 plus episodes.
Oh, it
At
almost
least
has
200.
to have been, because also any bonus episodes, I've ended with that still too.
Yep.
Technically, it's been on the bonus episodes. So they're like, while this is our 300th main episode, we've got way more than that. When you look at some of the bonus content we've done, and all this other stuff, we've got way more than 300 total. This is just the 300 technically in just the main continuity. And so, like I said, that's been the thing that's also been said. So there's a chance, there is a weird chance that even though this is our 300th episode, I might have ended over 300 episodes with it. So there is that distinct possibility. Oh man, guys, 300. 6 years, 300 episodes. That's fucking bonkers. Oh man. And with that, we thank you guys for listening. And one real quick thing again. Shout out to Bizu. I'm going to miss you. I'm out.